live on Capitol Hill.
Democrats overwhelmingly voted against the short-term spending bill that keeps government open into early December and provides $1 billion for the Zika response and another $500 million for flood relief in Louisiana and other states. But
there's no excuse for leaving people of Flint, Michigan behind.
Democratic leader Harry Reid demands the city's water crisis be included in a spending plan. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate has already passed a Flint plan in separate legislation now being negotiated with House leaders. Congress has until Saturday to pass a short-term spending plan. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. The candidates get back on the campaign trail after last night's debate.
I got a chance to say a few things about what I want to do if I'm so fortunate enough to be elected as your president.
Hillary Clinton telling a North Carolina rally this election is about the kind of country we want to be and that Donald Trump should never be president. Trump's in Florida holding a Little Havana roundtable earlier.
When I started off with the Hispanic community, I knew that I had great relationships, but it wasn't reading that way in the newspaper. And now I've had so many meetings like this.
He says he's getting more and more Hispanic support. Trump also tweeting that he raised $13 million in 24 hours in online donations. Prosecutors in Tennessee just announcing no federal charges against a white police officer who shot a 19-year-old black man last year. Federal prosecutors citing insufficient evidence and concluding that Officer Connor Schilling did not willfully deprive Darius Stewart of his civil rights. Police say Stewart was shot during a struggle as Schilling tried to arrest him on active warrants after a traffic stop. Wall Street snapping a two-day sell-off, the Dow up 133 at the bell. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
When it comes to commercial vehicles, it's time to drill down to the details. If you're not driving the new Sprinter Worker from Mercedes-Benz, your van just isn't cutting it. The Sprinter Worker takes payload up a notch, carrying up to 3,512 pounds. Its cargo volume is cranked up too, with over 300 cubic feet of space. When it comes to safety, it's unmatched, but it's the price that'll really hammer it home. The new Sprinter Worker starts at just $32,495. It also has a service interval of up to 20,000 miles and the highest residual value in its class, according to ALG. Put that in your pipe and weld it. Huge capacity, small price, starting at just $32,495. The all-new Sprinter Worker, starting at only $32,495. Mercedes-Benz, vans born to run.
MSRP for a 2016 Sprinter Worker excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Defense Chief Ash Carter says a bill that would allow the families of 9/11 victims to sue the Saudi Arabian government could be devastating to the U.S. military. He's echoing the president's concerns that the bill could make the U.S. vulnerable to retaliatory lawsuits, sending a letter to lawmakers as they prepare to try to override the president's veto of that bill. The White House not giving up on the Trans-Pacific trade deal and urging Congress to act before the end of the year.
It is now crystal clear that whoever's elected president is not going to be somebody who is enthusiastic about the kind of approach that President Obama has pursued. And look, when it comes to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, President Obama negotiated a good deal.
White House spokesman Josh Earnest, Donald Trump wants to renegotiate all trade deals if elected, and Hillary Clinton, after initially signaling possible support for TPP, has said she won't back the current version out of concern for U.S. jobs. Meantime, word of a global trade slump.
The World Trade Organization cutting by more than a third its forecast for global trade growth this year. The previous estimate of 2.8% now down to 1.7%. The trade body saying it's the first time in 15 years that international commerce is expected to lag behind growth of the world economy. It blames the cut on falling levels of imports into the US and a slowdown in China. The head of the World Trade Organization calling the cut serious and a wake-up call for governments. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
Late word of a movement to avoid another contract dispute between major cargo shippers and the union representing dock workers at 29 West Coast ports in the U.S. They've just released a joint statement agreeing to talks on a possible contract extension, and they plan to meet in November. That'll be about 19 months after a contract settlement that came after months of labor strife and cargo disruptions. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Here's your ESPN Radio 3-day forecast brought to you by Chief Bauer. Need a cooling or heating expert? Call Chief Bauer Service Experts at 866-EXPERTS or visit them online at chiefbauer.com. Tonight, clear, a low of 49. Wednesday, getting chilly. You might need that heating expert. Mostly cloudy, high 65, a low of 53. Thursday, chance of rain, high 70, low of 57. Right now, though, sunny, clear, beautiful, 76 in Champaign-Urbana.
And the delivery headed home. Swinging off pop-up. This is going to end it. Second baseman's out, and he takes care of it, and that takes care of the Cardinals. They lose 15-2.
Bryant, deep left center. That'll get it done, and it's gone. RBIs 100 and 101. Home run number 39.
Gordon to right. It's deep.
A crazy night of sports, and that was all. That was all that was going on last night. It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter settling into day number 2. Lon's not going to be here, so first
no
off,
shift change today.
Yes, my voice may be a little bit rough as we go along, but I got the water, I got the cough drops. I'm prepared.
There's a lot going on last night. I didn't watch much of the Cardinals game, and I didn't need to. Boy, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Way to show up, Cardinals. And Jaime Garcia and Michael Wacha are problems. The Cubs, congratulations, win number 100. Just another feather to put in this crazy regular season
First
cap.
time since the FDR administration.
It's amazing. It's an amazing season and just another badge that they put on their baseball belt there. So, yeah, huge season for them. But the story of the night, more so than even what we watched last night with the debate. And Carp and I won't get into that very much, but boy, that was entertaining for good or bad reasons.
Yeah.
But baseball and sports can be so terrible sometimes, and they can be so great at times. And there's, like last night, when D. Gordon steps to the plate, right-handed, with Jose Fernandez's helmet on. What a tribute just by itself. D. Gordon obviously has been emotional throughout this. Jose Fernandez was a close friend of his, and he does that, and that was a fitting tribute. And then he switches over to go to left-handed, his natural, and the first pitch he sees, he pulls to the right side and hits the farthest home run he's ever hit. I'm not the most spiritual person in the world, but you get chills thinking that something else was going on there. Like, maybe it was just D. Gordon, all the emotion, all the energy into that one swing, but there's just something mystical. There's something so great, and it was just after all of that terrible weekend, you have that one moment, and you're thinking, that's Jose. Like, that was the life of him right in just that swing. And it might sound crazy to some people, but it felt like a spiritual moment right there.
Well, I think that's why baseball is, I don't know if this is a cliche or not, but one of the old sports, probably the only sport that can make a grown man cry.
Yeah.
Because of all the nostalgia and all the everything that's wrapped up into that game that you don't really see with football or basketball, TV ratings notwithstanding, and baseball's doing fine in that as well. But what you see last night is something that does transcend just the game. And Sunday was a weird day if you were a sports fan. And whether it be the randomness of a Les Miles getting fired, or Ron Turner for that matter,
right,
or if you lived here especially and you wake up and the first thing you see that morning is the shooting on campus, immediately followed about 15 minutes later is when, oh, by the way, Jose Fernandez and this tragedy off the coast of Miami. And you know, there was something kind of, I don't know if reassuring is the right word, maybe a little bit, about how that game went last night. Because Miami ended up, I think, crushing the Mets.
Yeah.
But to begin it like that, with the first pitch that he saw when he went to the left side, and you said it too, he could have just put on the helmet, bat right-handed for the entire at bat and struck out or anything like that. There are so many ways that he could have aptly, attributed his friend, but you can't make stuff like that up. If you would have seen that in a Disney movie, you would have said, okay, Disney, that's a bit much. You're laying it on a bit thick.
It felt, and I'm not trying to lighten this at all, it felt like Angels in the Outfield. Like, you felt like, Jose Fernandez was Matthew McConaughey's character or something like that. Or Christopher Lloyd was the angel in that one.
Was Christopher Lloyd an angel?
Yeah. In that movie?
Doc Brown from Back to the Future was an angel?
He was the main guy. He was the main angel. He was Al.
I need to watch that again.
Yeah, he was the main angel. Did you watch that growing up?
I did. I saw it.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's great movie.
Is he the foster kid?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, the stars came out for that one.
But it felt like that.
Yeah.
And it feels crazy to say that you're comparing it to a Disney movie, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, no,
it
felt scripted, but when you know it's not, that's what makes it magical.
Exactly.
And so
there's going to be that'll be a big part of a documentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the thing is, though, when we were talking with Claves about this yesterday, and as time goes on, you can kind of maybe evaluate what will go on the field now for Miami as they go forward. And the personal loss, and that was the big thing that stuck out to me Sunday, was all the personal anecdotes, even from Megan Montemurro, someone that we've talked to on the show, or any reporter that covered him, and then to see last night the actual emotion from the players. I mean, just great little touches, too. Just everybody wearing number 16 and Fernandez, and awesome job as well by Majestic, where I guess they were basically up all night making these jerseys for this one event. But now that you start turning the page, and there's going to be an entire offseason to do it, from a baseball perspective, personally an awful loss, and then from a baseball perspective, that absolutely, how do you bounce back from that?
He was the face of the franchise in more ways than one, because one, he was one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball, but two, he's a Cuban-American.
And that's
in a city that is, the safe harbor for a lot of Cuban exiles, right? And so he was the perfect face, the perfect embodiment of it. And I saw Ken Rosenthal, he had a great tweet last night saying, I hope we have a Jose Fernandez Spirit Award going on in baseball. And I hope what comes out of this...
You do have the Roberto Clemente Award, right?
Sure.
Which is somewhat similar?
Sure, but I think that's Humanitarian Award.
That's it.
But with Jose Fernandez, what I hope everyone realizes by this story is why some players, especially Latino players, enjoy baseball so much, right? This whole, taking the game too seriously, why I've been so against it is because it's a fun game. And when we're kids, we learn to love this game and to enjoy it, right? That's why we do this. But when you get to the big leagues, you have to be serious all the time and respect the game.
Classy.
Yeah, and all that
classy.
stuff. Listen, don't show people up, don't hit them, things like that. That stuff's dumb. But when you hit a home run, jump up and down a little bit.
Flip the bat.
Flip
the bat.
Who you hurting? That's the stuff. But Jose Fernandez did a lot of that stuff, and he rubbed people the wrong way. But when you find out why he does those things, because he was arrested when he was a teenager. He tried to defect 4 times. He came from Cuba where he was oppressed and didn't have the opportunities. Sees the American dream to come over here, to have the opportunities he had. He enjoyed every minute of his life. And that's why a lot of those players, like Yasiel Puig, they come over here, they enjoy it. Yoenis Cespedes, I know he's got all those, he spends way too much money on those cars. It's because he's living his life to every moment, because he knows what it's like not to have those opportunities. So if we kind of understand where these people are coming from, understand they are living the American dream, that's what I think we should remember about Jose Fernandez is he lived baseball to its fullest. He lived every inning. He was a great teammate. He could get annoying probably with his energy a little bit, and Don Mattingly's admitted that. But that's what we loved, was that kiddish love for the game that we've all had at some point. And why do we tell people to stop having fun with the game once they get to the big leagues?
Dan Lebitard has the show from 9 to noon here on ESPN 93.5.
Yeah, we have some audio over there if you want to play.
Really? Okay, excellent. And I believe, was this from ESPN.com or, let's see here, we'll cue this up. But I did see something very cool on the ESPN website, and this might be exactly what I listened to. Let's try this out.
I'm be honest with you, man, I can't. When I swung, I hit the ball and I saw it go up for a second. And after that, I just don't know what happened.
Do you know, or did you know at the time that it was a home run? Could you feel immediately, I've hit that ball out?
When I hit it, I just was like, wow. And I just put my head down and ran.
You've never hit a ball that far, not even in batting practice?
Not in batting practice. I don't pull the ball, honestly, for home runs. If I hit it, it's more to right center. So to hit it over there, I've never done that, not even in batting practice.
Yeah, that's D. Gordon on the Dan Le Batard show.
Well, there was also a clip I saw last night of Dan Le Batard on yesterday morning Sports Center and talking about the impact that Jose Fernandez had in Miami.
Yeah.
And the anecdote that he used, and he was really emotional about it. And for anyone
he's
that
Cuban American.
Yeah, and anyone that listens to the show, like, he was apologetic about it. He does have a bit of machismo. So it was kind of against type, but to see that vulnerability and to hear him talk about taking his mom to Miami Marlins games, which she's a big sports fan, but she was very angry, as many Miami fans are, with how that franchise has been handled over the years. But if Jose Fernandez was pitching, that was appointment television, or not
Jose
just that.
Day.
Yeah, it was Jose Day, and you could probably go look at the attendance numbers, and I might try to dig this up here on Google, but the attendance numbers when he was starting at Marlins Stadium as opposed to when he was not, and there's a cultural thing down there that it's a tragic enough story, but I can only imagine being in Miami or being of Cuban descent and understanding the kind of struggle that it took for him to get here in the first place. The story is just unbelievable on a personal level, and you add to that Hall of Fame talent.
Yep.
And that's what he was. This is not some spot starter, and it's not as if let's say he wasn't that talented of a guy. It still would have been tragic.
Yeah.
But you add that element to it, and what you won't be able to see as a sports fan, it's a shame.
He was a top 5 NL Cy Young candidate. I hate to bring this up, but how would you feel if people bumped him up in their voting?
Well,
I don't think he should win because he died.
We got a text yesterday about, has there been any posthumous, is that the word for it? Posthumous MVP or Cy Young Award?
Clemente would be the only guy, right?
But
I don't think he was at the top of it. Like, he was still really good, but I know he was towards...
And I think it was actually just after the season ended that Clemente died.
Yeah.
So... I don't know. I don't think that's something that you have to do.
No, because the Miami Marlins are honoring him. I think if Major League Baseball honored it with like a Spirit Award, like Rosenthal said,
I think it would be a well-intentioned but ill-advised thing if you would like to vote for him, despite the fact that he wasn't the best pitcher.
Clemente finished 13th in the MVP. He was 37 years old, though. Wasn't near the player that he was in the middle of his career.
Yeah, it's not something you need to do. There's plenty of time this offseason, and I think Major League Baseball will handle this correctly because it could have been anybody. It could have been a young star. It's funny. I think it was it Joe Sheehan maybe that wrote this article?
Joe Sheehan wrote a phenomenal piece.
Okay, it was about when you're young and things that you do. Like, in other words, there's the initial frustration that a guy like he has looking back and saying,
here's the end of Joe Sheehan's newsletter. After the shock of the news and after the sadness, anger creeps in. Jose, why? What are you doing on a fast vote on a dark ocean in the middle of the night? You're going to be a father. Man, I didn't even like drinking milk 2 days before the expiration date anymore, and it's entirely because I don't want to do anything that might shorten my time with Marina. That's his daughter. Jose, you had such capability to experience joy and to bring joy to others, and you risked it for what? Speed? You were months from handling the child you created over to the mother you saved, and it's all gone now. Then I remember that I was an idiot at 24 and 34 and 44 and probably will be one at 54. The difference between Fernandez and I isn't judgment, it's luck. Flip one cosmic switch and Fernandez is on the mound at Marlins Park tonight while I waste away in a box in a field somewhere. The shock and the sadness and the anger will all fade and we'll be left with all the memories. We'll remember his talent. We'll remember his heroic journey from Cuba to the U.S., a boy forced to be a man well before his time. We'll remember his devotion, saving his mother from drowning in the Atlantic Ocean on their escape. We'll remember his brashness. Fernandez is part of a generation trying to drag our game, kicking and screaming into the 21st century. We'll remember his smile, the latest in a long line of baseball smiles, back through Ken Griffey Jr. and Ozzie Smith and Ernie Banks and Willie Mays. When we do, we won't be silent. Dap up your friends, talk some trash, dunk on a rival, hit a walk-off wiffle blast, and run the bases doing the robot. Cheer, shout, laugh. Whatever you do for Jose Fernandez, do it loud. Really well written by Joe Sheehan on the Joe Sheehan newsletter.
Well, that's just it, isn't it, though? I mean, thinking back to, there's always, after a tragedy like this, the initial anger. What is it? Denial, anger, acceptance? I think is the 3 stages of grief. And in that anger phase, it's the why question.
Why are you doing that?
But
why are you taking those risks? But you lived life.
Everybody's done this.
Yeah.
And there are people that have skidded through life with far more risk involved, and they're 80 years old now.
Every time one of us has that phone while we're driving, and we all do it.
Yeah.
We're taking risks.
Well, and we've seen it ourselves. I mean, and we don't know the entire circumstances, but it was last fall. I mean, probably coming up on 1 year. that one of our interns and a great contributor to the show and a great young talent, Brett Lerner, passed away.
Yeah.
And
anytime you have someone that young pass away, like, when you're younger and your grandparents die or people around you that are older die.
If you're too young, it can't register.
Like an Arnold Palmer. It's like, okay, that's what happens. But when somebody your age or younger, it hits you so hard that it's this fragile. It's that fragile. It's really difficult. We'll get on with some sports talk today. Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald and Review, will join us at 4:05. Kevin Fishbane will join us at 5:30. Talk some Bears from ProFootballWeekly.com. If you want to weigh in, you can. You can call us on the Jupiter's Crossing phone line or text the Cheap Hour text line at 217-359-2255. That's 359-2255. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Tay and J Show. Download the WSJK app. Get our podcast at ESPNCU.com or find us on iTunes. That's all powered by GTPS Insurance. Our interns today, James Woodard and Austin Berkle. And you hear the update coming up next. Again, if you want to weigh in, 359-2255.
We'll be back. It is the Tay and J Show.
Hi, my name is Fred Wakefield. I'm a former Fighting Illini football player, 8-year NFL veteran, and now a graduate of the University of Illinois MBA program. I decided to get MBA because before I was ever a professional athlete, I was a student and someone wanting to really go into the business world. The best part about the MBA experience with the University of Illinois was the people involved in the program. Professors who were absolutely outstanding, fellow students who I still lean on a regular basis. I would definitely recommend Illinois' MBA program. Talked to a few different people about it. One guy actually played in the NFL for a number of years and called and asked about it. And I know that it's a program that continues to grow. I just think it's made a world of difference for me, and it will continue to as I progress through life and business. My University of Illinois MBA has allowed me not just the confidence, but also the tools to be able to move forward and continue to grow in business.
Earn your professional MBA 2 nights a week. Find out more at professionalmba.illinois.edu. That's professionalmba.illinois.edu.
DP Dough is the original Calzone company, and they cater all types and sizes of events, from office orders to private parties to entire visiting football teams. Everyone will be sure to enjoy something different than the same old sandwiches or pizza. DP Dough also delivers to nearly all of Champaign, Urbana, and Savoy until late at night. So give them a call or order online when you're hungry and no one else is delivering. With over 1 million calzones served since opening in 2006, DP Dough is sure to satisfy and fill you up. DP Dough, the original Calzone company.
Nobody plays more country music per hour than US 105.9, where they start every workday with 3 hours of continuous country. US 105.9 is a proud sister station to ESPN Radio 93.5.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Illinois and the Rantoul Area Chamber of Commerce invite you to come out and join our Run for Your Life Halloween 5K on Saturday, October 1st. All participants are encouraged to dress up in costumes with prizes awarded, plus trick-or-treating at the end of the 5K for participating children. This event will begin at 10 a.m. at the Forum Fitness Center in Rantoul. After the race, enjoy the Fall Fest in downtown Rantoul. All proceeds help Big Brothers Big Sisters to support caring children facing adversity, professional one-to-one mentoring relationships. We hope to see you there. Visit bbbscil.org for details.
Game Day Spirit Fan Store is your destination for local high school merchandise this season. They now have a full line of Under Armour merchandise for Centennial, Central, Muhammad Seymour, Unity, and Urbana high schools. Want to receive special deals, discounts, and exclusive looks at new merchandise for your school? Text Local HS to 555-888 to be a VIP insider for your school. That's Local HS to 555-888 to be the talk of your town. Good luck to all the local teams playing this weekend from Game Day Spirit Fan Store, your local destination for high school and Fighting Illini apparel.
Hi, it's Corey with Max Twin City Recycling. We pride ourselves on giving the area an outlet to recycle and get paid for their unwanted metals. We're taking our community focus a step further with our Recycling for a Cause program. Each month, Max Twin City will choose a different local charity to feature in an effort to raise money for those causes. Visit maxrecycling.com for a complete list of program details.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Attention football fans, get your season tickets now to catch the Bloomington Edge indoor football team's 12th season for just $60. It's the most affordable, family-friendly entertainment in the area. All Bloomington Edge season ticket holders receive tickets to 6 games, plus a preseason game and invitations to the most exclusive Bloomington Edge events. Buy your season tickets now for just $60 at bloomingtonedge.net or by calling the Edge offices at 484-840-EDGE.
When you're heading home, Tay and J are on your way talking sports. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
I'm Austin Berkland, and this is your 3:30 Sports Center update. Illinois football opens up Big Ten play as a 21-point underdog on Saturday against the Cornhuskers in Lincoln, Nebraska at 2:30 on ESPN2. Offensive coordinator Garrick McGee says he wants more passion out of quarterback Wes Lund.
You know, I've talked with him a lot about it, that I think the one thing that he's lacking or where he needs to move forward is just a little more passion, a little more intensity. You know, the ability to just completely lay it on the line for your team and have everyone see that the quarterback is going to be diving and jumping and he's going to be emotionally invested in the game and he's going to compete like crazy, run when you have to run. You got to completely sell out for 60 minutes because you only get so many of those opportunities.
The Miami Marlins played their first game without pitcher Jose Fernandez in the dugout. The pregame ceremony started with a moment of silence, followed by a single trumpet rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. All the Mets gave a Marlins player a hug. Then in the third pitch of the bottom of the first, D. Gordon hit a solo home run and was met with tears in the Marlin dugout. The Cardinals are still in the battle for a wild card race, but it took a huge hit last night when they fell to the Reds 15-2. Jaime Garcia only made it through one inning, giving up 4 hits, with 2 of those hits being solo home runs. Michael Wacha came in relief and wasn't much relief, surrendering 7 more runs in just 2 2/3 innings. After the loss, they remain 1 game out of the second wildcard spot after the Mets loss. The Cardinals looked to go correct course tonight in the second game of the series against the Reds. On the mound is Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals and Robert Stevenson for the Reds. Hear this game on our station, ESPN CU. Pregame starts at 6:20.
Hey, next Tuesday, a week from today, come join us at Jupiter's The Crossing for their brand new private party room. We're having Tay and J Listener Appreciation Show. We're going to have free appetizers available along with $1.50 Miller Lights, $1.50 PBR bottles, plus like every Tuesday at Jupiter's, you and the family can get half off large pizzas. So come join us next week, Tuesday, October 4th, the Jupiter's The Crossing in their new private party room. It's the Tay and J Listener Appreciation Show. All we're going to ask is that you text us or call us with your name and email address beforehand. So give us a call or text us at 359-2255. That's 359-2255, and we'll send you information for the event. Space is limited, so text us your name and email address, 359-2255. Carp should be a lot of fun. The Tay and J Listener Appreciation Show at Jupiter's The Crossing next Tuesday. Bring out the family.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't text or call, it'll be open, but we're just trying to get a good idea, kind of a head count before we go in there so we can get food for you guys. And like Jeremy said, half-price pizzas, $1.50 Miller Lights, $1.50 PBR. So a nice way to spend your Tuesday evening. This Thursday, we are going to have a short show at Bunny's. I think we're off at 5:10, 5:15, Cardinals, Reds. We'll finish up their 4-game series on Thursday, but we will be at Bunny's on what should be a nice fall-like day, maybe in the beer garden. If it's warm enough, I don't know.
So the Cardinals fall to the Reds 15-2 yesterday. Mike Claiborne was on with us yesterday. If you missed that podcast, go back and listen to it.
He was depressed.
He's upset about this team. And I get it to this point. I don't know how talented this team is. It's talented enough, but I think just the way they play, it's the anti-Cardinal way, right? I mean, the Cardinals fans have been used to their team playing the right way of baseball, and what I mean by that is clean baseball. They pitch well, they defend well, they run the bases well. They're not doing any of that this year. They're still in this thing. They're a game and a half back of the first wild card spot, a game back of the Giants right now. So they're still in this thing, but only 35,000 showed up at Busch Stadium, which is a lot of people for a team that's struggling, but that broke a 240-game streak of 40,000-plus fans at Busch Stadium.
I asked Claves yesterday, isn't there kind of excitement? I mean, you have a week, and destiny is in your hands. I mean, as long as you take care of business, you should sneak into that second wildcard spot, if not even the first. Only a game and a half out. And judging by his response and by 35,000, which is good for most, but the last week of the season with a playoff spot on the line.
It just shows the fans don't like this team.
No.
They don't believe in this team. They don't like this team. But it's all relative, right? Because if they were the Mariners or the White Sox or whatever team like that, we would be pumped at where they're at right now. Even though they're frustrating, we'd be pumped about where they are. But for Cardinals, they've seen way better baseball for a decade now.
Well, and for Cardinals fans, wouldn't it be the most Cardinal thing ever for this team to win it, even though they don't even like them?
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, hypothetically, they could still win the World Series.
Yeah, they could.
And that sounds crazy.
You're one of what, 10 teams, like 10,
Right.
12 teams that can?
But you look back in 2006, and I know Claves kind of referenced this yesterday too, that, okay, the team, like 2006 being the glaring example of a team that wasn't all that great, but things were starting to come together, and you knew what they were capable of. The Cardinals, to expect them to actually make a deep run,
it's just who's your best player?
And when
who's your best player?
That, and then when it comes to the Cubs and Cardinals, and I know that if you were a Cubs fan, and if I were a Yankees fan, I wouldn't want to play the Red Sox in any playoff series if I could avoid it. There's something about playing your rival that it doesn't matter how good they are that year, but when you line up in that series, anything can happen. But all that said,
this doesn't look like a team that's capable of it, but you never know.
Other than Carlos Martinez, Reyes on a good day. When you have your four best starters and Jason Hamill isn't pitching, can you really be that scared?
I know. I would not be that scared if I'm a Cubs fan. The only reason you would be is because Cardinals, right? I mean, their history. But Jaime Garcia gets shelled in an inning. Michael Wacha, is this guy done? I mean, this has been a bad trend for him. The injuries are what concern me because I don't know if this guy can hold up through an entire season. So the whole counting on Michael Wacha to be a big part of their rotation, I don't think you can count on that moving forward. And that's how this season has changed things. Is can you count on Michael Wacha? Can you count on Jaime Garcia? You can't really count on being a part of this team. Adam Wainwright is done. He's not going to be Adam Wainwright, I don't think, again. And Randall Grichuk has had his struggles. Colton Wong has had his struggles. He just got his contract. Stephen Piscotty is going to be really good, I think. Is he going to be the third or fourth? Can he be the best hitter on your team? Matt Carpenter's getting up there in age.
He's a good supplemental piece, but not one you want to build around.
Carpenter's, those guys are solid foundation guys, but you need a bunch of them. And I think you thought you had a bunch of those guys. I think they're smaller than you thought beginning this season. Yeah. And it's still a solid foundation for a team, but it's not anywhere near the Cubs. It's not anywhere near the Dodgers. The Giants we could argue about, but there's some long term, and that's what Claves was hitting on yesterday. There's some real long term questions that they have to answer. Love Reyes, love Martinez. That's a great start for the next 5-6 years, right? Yeah. I mean, having those guys at the top of your rotation, having Carpenter, having Piscotty, Grichuk has that potential. But guys like Colton Wong, guys like Michael Wacha that you're counting on to be big parts of your future, I just don't know if you can.
I guess you could throw Diaz in there as well. I mean, only his rookie season, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the future is still good for the Cardinals when you compare it to other teams. Yeah. But you're always comparing it to the Cubs.
Well,
and the Cubs are just dang
They're not
loaded.
going anywhere.
No,
they're not. And the thing is, they have such a wealth of riches that they can withstand guys having off years or getting injured.
Mm-hmm.
If a Kyle Schwarber-like quality player was on the Cardinals as a foundational piece, something you had to build around, and he went out, if it were 3-4 years ago, you probably would have seen another guy come up and a Hazel Baker go off or something like that. But what you're seeing is that there aren't those reserves down in AAA like there used to be.
Right.
They will be coming eventually, but when you look at the farm rankings as well, this is not the same behemoth that it was. So what do you do? Do you have to go out in the winter meetings and spend some money? I think you kind of have to.
I think you got to add some pieces. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. If you want to weigh in 359-2255, speaking of the Cubs as well, Kyle Hendricks is going to finish the season with a sub-2 ERA, 1.99. His ERA stands after last night's gem. I think he's creeping up. I think he's going to finish pretty high in the Cy Young voting. If you just had to vote for a Cub, would you vote for Lester or would you vote for Hendricks?
People, I think, are leery of voting for Hendricks because he doesn't have a long history of doing it. So
and he's
they're
not
afraid.
as dominant, but his K/9 has been a little better this year.
Well, that's the thing. It's the way that he pitches. Usually you go with a power pitcher kind of guy. You go with the strikeout rate, which I think is a better indicator, too, of the overall dominance of a guy. If you're picking one stat, certainly strikeouts per 9 would be it. So there's this idea, I think, that Hendricks is doing it with smoke and mirrors, which is probably not fair to him.
No, because he's been doing it for 2 years now and doing it at a high level.
Between him and Lester, you would give it, I would think, to Hendricks, but I don't see that happening.
Austin Berkland, hop on a mic. Who would you vote for if you had to vote for a Cub? Would you vote for Lester or Hendricks?
I got to go Hendricks just because of that ERA being below 1, being below 2. It's so amazing what he's done, and I know there's the whole pitch to contact thing, but the way he does it is so amazing. John Smoltz said it best. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher.
Yeah,
he knows how to use his stuff.
He's everyone's talking about Caper 9. He's kind of bringing it back that hey, you can pitch to contact and still be a really effective pitcher, which Chris Sale did earlier in the year before he was just trying to go for the Cy Young. So it feels like people are going back to hey, you can still pitch to contact as long as you got a good defense behind you.
Yeah, I know the defense is hurting these Cubs pitchers right now when it comes to the whole National League Cy Young discussion, but I still don't see a reason why you shouldn't vote those guys as your Cy Young if you truly feel like they are the best pitcher.
Do you think those guys will beat Scherzer, Syndergaard?
I don't think so. I think it's Scherzer's to lose right now, and that upsets me. But but I understand why they are going to vote for him because of the sabermetrics of it.
Would you feel kind of better if they finished 2-3, like 2-3, like behind Scherzer? If they both finished 2-3,
yeah, in front of Syndergaard at least, then I would feel okay about that. But if there was a winner, I'd probably go with Kyle Hendricks.
Carp, let me ask you this question. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate the Cubs' perspective. Who do you think leads Major League Baseball and wins above replacement for a pitcher?
Above replacement for a pitcher. National League or American League?
Oh.
But, I mean, just as a hint.
Oh, National League.
Okay.
The top 4 are National League guys.
I feel like this is a trick, roundabout kind of question.
Why would I do that?
Jake Arrieta.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Arrieta is 15th in Major League Baseball. Among pitchers, Kyle Hendricks 14, John Lester 13.
Okay.
This is according to Fangraphs.
So he's the highest WAR for pitcher, or he's not the guy?
No. Lester is 13th among pitchers. Hendricks is 14th.
Whoa.
Jake Arrieta 15th.
Okay. Carlos Martinez.
No, not Carlos Martinez.
I'm stumped.
Clayton Kershaw.
Still.
At 6.5, wins above replacement. He's pitched 20 games. Number 2, Jose Fernandez. At 6.2, he pitched 29 games. Syndergaard is 3 at 6.1. Scherzer is 4th at 5.6. Chris Sale is 5th at 5.2. And then you go Rick Porcello, Corey Kluber. It'll be really interesting, this Cy Young race in the American League. I think Kluber has a really good chance at it just because his stuff's a lot better than Porcello. Porcello's seemingly gotten a little luckier. I just don't think Sale has had as dominant of a year. But I think Kluber, Sale, maybe David Price. If David Price didn't have a bad month to start the season, he probably would have won it.
Bad month
he's probably been maybe the best pitcher in baseball since the first month.
Real quick, a text from the Cheap Hour text line from Clifford Urbana. With the Fernandez death still fresh, it's hard not to look back for the Cardinals and the passing of Oscar Tavares, how much they were banking on him and how much it's affected them since.
You think of that. I mean, Oscar Tavares was going to be the middle of the lineup guy. Right there with Piscotty, Carpenter. Yes, I totally agree with that, Cliff, and then you traded one of your other foundation pieces. Now, obviously, they knew something about Shelby Miller that they weren't happy about, so they traded him for Jason Hayward, and then they weren't able to re-sign Jason Hayward, and all those dominoes kind of changed their future. Absolutely, Cliff. So, that's obviously been a huge factor.
You can always call us at the Jupiters of the Crossing phone line or text the Cheap Hour text line, 217-359-2255.
We're going to do Mike's Mike at 5:45 with Lante not here. Carp will answer any random question you have. Somebody ask a debate question. That'd be good.
I don't know if they
You can
want to do
hashtag Mike's Mike on Twitter. You can tweet at me at JWarnerScout, or you can text us at 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. When we come back, Lovie Smith weighs in on the Colin Kaepernick protest.
Oh, boy. I'll be ready to check out the text line.
We'll do that next.
Sounds good. Tay and J Show.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Mortgage rates have dropped again. In fact, recently, mortgage rates have dropped to the second lowest level in history. Now is the time for you to take advantage of these historically low rates and save serious money every month by refinancing your mortgage. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is all the way down to 3.5%. APR 3.57%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how far we can lower your mortgage payment. For 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year, they also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. It's a great time to refinance with Quicken Loans and save hundreds every month. This ultra-low rate of 3.5% won't last long. So call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
It's Tay and J's College Game Day, and it's back thanks to JSM, the Champaign Center Partnership, Honda BMW of Champaign, Game Day Spirit, Chief Bauer, Busey Bank, and DP Doe.
Are you ready for some football?
We are, and we'll be getting you geared up for every Illinois football home game this season with Tay and J's College Game Day.
It's Jeremy and I, you the fans, Illini coaches, and some very special guests live each Friday before every home football game in the 600 block of Green Street.
With ESPN 93.5.
From the first kiss to the first dance to the first meal, your wedding day is full of firsts. And the first call you need to make when planning your wedding day is to Dish Passionate Cuisine. From the room to the dance floor to a totally custom menu, our brides brag about the wonderful experiences they've had with Dish Passionate Cuisine. Visit dishpassionatecuisine.com to get more information or schedule an appointment. Trust me, if you call us first, you won't have to call anyone else. Visit dishpassionatecuisine.com or find us on Facebook.
Hi, my name is Fred Wakefield. I'm a former Fighting Illini football player, 8-year NFL veteran, and now a graduate of the University of Illinois MBA program. I decided to get MBA because before I was ever a professional athlete, I was a student and someone wanting to really go into the business world. The best part about the MBA experience with the University of Illinois was the people involved in the program. Professors who were absolutely outstanding, fellow students who I still lean on a regular basis. I would definitely recommend Illinois' MBA program. Talked to a few different people about it. One guy actually played in the NFL for a number of years and called and asked about it. And I know that it's a program that continues to grow. I just think it's made a world of difference for me, and it will continue to as I progress through life and business. My University of Illinois MBA has allowed me not just the confidence, but also the tools to be able to move forward and continue to grow in business.
Earn your professional MBA 2 nights a week. Find out more at professionalmba.illinois.edu. That's professionalmba.illinois.edu.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday morning 7 to 9 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter with Jeremy Warner. Lante on assignment. Another golf match for Lucas, so good luck to him on a beautiful, beautiful day.
So yesterday, Lon and I, at the end of the show...
2 Royal Bloods in a row.
Oh, cool. Yesterday, we talked about my all-preseason Big Ten team. And we went down the list of what I had. Now, I'll go over it real quick for Big Ten basketball. Bronson Koenig, Ethan Happ, Mello Trimble, Malcolm Hill, Peter Jock, Nigel Hayes, Thomas Bryant, Caleb Swanigan, Miles Bridges, Michigan State freshman, who's going to be a stud. You don't know him yet, but he's going to be really good. OG Anunoby, Indiana. A lot of people projecting he'll be a top 20 pick in the NBA. Guys who just missed the list: Bryant McIntosh, Jaquan Lyle, James Blackman Jr., Corey Sanders, Shep Garner, Mark Loving,
Maverick Morgan,
Duncan Robinson, Zach Irvin, guys like that. Who would be your player of the year vote? With no Denzel Valentine, no Utah, a bunch of those seniors gone.
They like senior players, the MVP vote. So in other words, if it's
if you had to pick a preseason player of the year, I remember Robbie Hummel was a preseason player of the year back in the day.
I don't know. I mean, it feels like it's if the Wisconsin guys get on. I don't want to say by default, but I think it's partially that because the league doesn't.
Who would you consider? For me, it's Koenig, Happ, Trimble.
Yeah, Trimble.
I can't put Peter Jock in there, and I can't put Malcolm Hill in there. It's interesting. I put this on our board at Illini Inquirer, and people were like, I said, would you rather have Bronson Koenig or Malcolm Hill on your team?
I'd rather have Malcolm Hill. I'm trying not to be a homer, but I would rather have Malcolm Hill.
Okay, why?
Man, just from a production standpoint.
Numbers? Yeah, numbers.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'd rather have a point guard.
I'm not going down the Aaron Kraft rabbit hole.
Koenig is much better than Kraft, in my opinion. You talk about a lead guard who can score when you need to score, like he does, lead a team.
Well, I'm not going to pretend I don't have some bias towards Wisconsin basketball here, but I am still taking Malcolm Hill over.
Would you rather have Ethan Happ or Malcolm Hill?
Malcolm Hill.
Ethan Happ might be the best defensive big man.
Of course,
he
might be.
Ridiculous rebounder.
They always seem to find those guys.
You'd rather have that than Malcolm Hill, or not? You'd rather have Malcolm Hill than that. And I love Malcolm Hill.
I think
I am. He's one of my top 4 players in the Big Ten.
I just think on a team that had nothing last year, what Malcolm did with that. Now,
is that Penn State syndrome? Is that all those Penn State guys who came through from the outside? I bet Malcolm Hill to a lot of people
is DJ Newbill.
Yeah, put up a bunch of great numbers on a terrible team.
Maybe you're right.
So that's what I think we're here. We got orange
at the same time,
colored glasses.
At the same time,
would you rather have Miller Trimble?
Well, can't you flip that around? This may sound like a crazy argument, but can't you flip that around and say Ethan Happ and Bronson Koenig have had the benefit of playing on great teams where their skills are going to be naturally maximized?
But they are maximized, and that makes them very valuable.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Miller Trimble?
I don't see it.
Would you rather have Miller Trimble or Malcolm Hill?
I'd rather have Melo Trimble.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can get behind somebody voting for Melo Trimble for player of the year, despite his bad year.
I don't know if it's my anti-white basketball player stance rearing its ugly head here.
What about Robbie Hummel? If Robbie Hummel would have been that guy.
Yeah, but you knew what Robbie Hummel was. I don't find it to be...
he's a really good basketball player. That's what he was.
Well, but I don't see... Listen, Ethan Happ had 1 year. 1 year.
And he was awesome.
He was awesome.
He was better than Malcolm Hill.
Look at the team, though.
Yeah,
this goes both ways. It's like you can be a really good player on a bad team, and that's a point against you. You can be a really good player on a good team, and how much of that was a result of you being as screw it.
No, it's a fun argument. That's all it is. But I think it's interesting. Like Malcolm Hill is obviously I think highly of him, but I would just take those other players. I think
you would take Trimble, Happ, and Koenig.
Now, if you got to Peter Jock, I'll take Malcolm. I'll take Malcolm over Nigel Hayes. Nigel Hayes isn't as good as what I thought he was going to be to this point. Thomas Bryant, having that kind of big, I might take him over Malcolm.
You get that next year, you hope.
Yeah, Caleb Swanigan might. Miles Bridges just has natural talent, but I think Malcolm will probably be better this year. But yeah, I think the world of Malcolm Hill. It's interesting how people don't think Koenig and Happ are that level that Malcolm Hill is, despite their success at one of the best programs in the country.
I'd like to see Vegas odds on it. I mean, because it's not outside the realm of possibility.
It's wide open. It's wide open.
That if all things go well, and also because of how bad Illinois was last year.
I mean, last year was easy to put in Denzel Valentine.
Right.
Just put in Denzel Valentine. He's the player.
Right, and he even missed a few games, but it was sort of like, well, if he comes back and he's the same, just give it to him. But I think that in Malcolm's favor, if we're talking about MVP discussion, if you get 4th or 5th in the Big Ten, and that'd be a really good year by any measure, but let's say you do, compared to how bad you were last year, people have a short memory, and people are also not going to look in the at the nuance of, well, why were they so bad this year, and how did all of a sudden they come out of nowhere?
Mean, if we're talking end of season, Illinois is a top 4 or 5 team, and Malcolm puts up 18, 19 points.
So I'm just saying there is, because of the story, people love voting for the senior. That's why Melo Trimble somehow takes Maryland after all the guys that they've lost, and they've added talent. So it's not crazy to think that they'll just not pick up where they left off, but still be a top half of the Big Ten team.
I can get behind Trimble being some people's vote. I just don't know if I could put Malcolm over some of those Wisconsin guys.
Right.
Anyway, let's get to it.
I hate Wisconsin, so it's just let's just be real. I'm not objective about it.
The football thing's killing you, isn't it?
It's so annoying.
They're so
not
good.
Cute anymore.
No, you know why it is? Because they're everything you want to be.
Yeah, it's true. And I like the state, and I like the people up there, but man, it's annoying how much they win.
All right, Lovie Smith was asked yesterday, good question by former Tay and J intern Johnny Jaffe, was asked about player activism and how he kind of wants his players to handle, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the national anthem. Lovie was asked that, and I thought he had a fascinating answer.
This is what I tell our team as a whole. I want them to be involved in their community and what's going on in their world. Politics. I want them to be involved in politics. I like for them to support a candidate and just know the reason why you're supporting them. And be vocal about it. Things they don't like, I like for them to say that. And if there's something and if you remain quiet, that's saying that you agree with what is being said. So that's, as a basic rule, that's what we go with. And if there's something someone feels strongly about, I assume they will let everyone know that. I do not tell our players what to say in press conferences. We're constantly teaching on things on how we do things, but I don't specifically tell guys what to say and not to say.
I absolutely love that. He treats his players like adults, gives them responsibility, but says, hey, whatever you say, you better believe in it. You better have researched this. But I want you to have opinions on this. And that's because a lot of coaches, Carp, would say, don't say anything to the media about this. Don't take
Close
a knee.
ranks.
Yeah, don't take a knee during the national anthem, or put up a fist during the national anthem, or say something else against any movement or whatever. He would just, because that's what's in his interest, right? But what he said right there is he's a teacher. He's trying to teach these kids not just about football, but I want you to be active citizens, right? And being active, giving back to the community, caring about your community, caring about the world you live in. I think that's phenomenal. And they might do some screw-ups along the way, but that's when you're there to talk to them about it and say, if you believe in this, you better believe in it and you better support it or whatever. So I love that. I don't think you should stop a kid from doing it just because in your interest it might bring some negative attention to your program.
If anything, doesn't this illustrate the power, or I should say at least the impact behind what Colin Kaepernick did in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're still talking about this.
Because high school players are doing it?
Well, Friday night at the Centennial football game, many of the cheerleaders participated in it as well. It was a story in the News-Gazette. I would encourage you to not look at the comments section if you don't want to get angry, or I guess more disappointed that we often get offended by things, and I totally understand that. But one thing, and call this idealistic, whatever you want to call it, that I think is beautiful about being an American is that it's okay that I offend you with something I say, or vice versa. It is okay for them to protest. And another thing that goes on too is
to silently protest,
right. And
to not interfere with anything, and just do it on their terms. And sorry if you have to see it.
Well, and what frustrates me is that there's
sorry
often,
if that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's often the argument that there is a right way to protest. Now, if it is a peaceful protest, it would be hard for me to parse through a peaceful protest and say that's right, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the emotion that goes behind the national anthem. I understand the flag. These are symbols that people, especially of a military background, have an affinity for, as they should. And I was taught the same thing. And I'm standing up during the national anthem, and because there is an element of pride that I think is healthy and should be exercised. But just as healthy, I think, in this country more than any, is that you can protest. And if you're doing so peacefully, whether you offend a few sensibilities or not, isn't that still kind of a beautiful thing? This is what we fought for, I thought.
And there are, a lot of us like to speak for the troops, right? And I know there are some that probably are offended that Colin Kaepernick is not standing for the flag.
Right.
I mean, he's peacefully protesting, right? But I know there are a lot of troops that say, hey, this is what I fought for. This is his right. I might not agree with what he's doing, but that's what we do. Like, that's what we're defending, is your right to do that, rather than somewhere else where they say you can't do that and you get thrown in jail for it. You can be a dissident in this country, right? Like, as long as you're peacefully doing it, not hurting anyone else, and they aren't. They aren't hurting anybody else. And what he has done, even though it took a while to get there and for people to realize it, and I think that's what's great about what's happened, is I think we're talking more about what the issue that Colin Kaepernick really wanted. I think it took him a little bit to finally get to where he wanted. I don't think the socks thing was very smart of him, with the pigs and the cops or whatever. But you're having more people talk about it. NBA players are talking about it. LeBron had great thoughts about it. And he said, I'm going to stand for the national anthem because that's what I want to do. But I respect Colin Kaepernick and I respect what he's fighting for. So going back to the Lovey thing, I love that he's getting high school, college-age players to be like, okay, if you're behind this, know about it, and then follow through with it. If you believe in something, you should stand up for it. And I think because he's an African-American coach, he's a black coach, the first one for Revenue Sport here, I think it matters when Lovey Smith says something. I think what he said yesterday should be a kind of like a national story, because you have a black coach saying this about his players and stepping up and saying, yes, I would support them to be active as long as they know what they're talking about. And, I think that's great that you're trying to help promote kids to care about their community, to care about issues that matter to them.
Yeah, I think, too, that the vitriol that's expressed towards people that are protesting during the national anthem, or just any protest in general, and I think it is important to demarcate between the peaceful protest and riots that occur.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a major difference there. But staying on the topic here of peaceful protest and what Lovey was talking about yesterday, I think oftentimes any form of protest is viewed by people as, you hate America.
Mm-hmm.
You hate it. My counter-argument would be, and not to put words or thoughts in protesters' minds, I think if you asked them and sat down, hey, are you, would you rather live anywhere else? They'd probably say, no, I love it here. But here's the difference. You can love the country you're in and still hope that it improves in certain areas.
Yes.
And it is okay to wish for a more perfect
You can be
union.
patriotic and ask for your country to be better, right?
Exactly. And I think that this kind of anger that comes out of people would say, well, protesters are angry. Well, I would say all I've seen, if we're still just staying on the national anthem thing, is I don't deem this to be an angry protest.
No, it's just to draw attention to a cause. And it's interesting. I don't think a lot of this happens without Muhammad Ali dying. And for a lot of black athletes to realize what he did and what he sacrificed and what he stood for, because Michael Jordan kind of changed everything when he just didn't say anything. And then all of a sudden, Michael has come out in support of this movement. And so I think that's interesting, but I don't know if it happens without him. But Kaepernick has done that. We've seen the NBA players start to do it. It all goes back to people. We want to live in these bubbles of, they're athletes. We want them to do this. And then Michael Jordan was criticized for not standing up for certain issues. Athletes have been criticized for not standing up to certain issues. Then they do it, and there's a bunch of people who are uncomfortable with it. Like, just play the football or go to a different country if you don't like it. Well, there's issues in this country, and there was a debate about it all last night, right? And that's what these players are a part of. They are citizens too, and they have a platform, just like you and I have a platform here, just like everyone has a platform on Twitter or Facebook, whatever they want to say. I don't think we should stop them or criticize them for standing up and saying something. That's what I'm happy about Lovie Smith saying yesterday.
Yeah, South Park years ago had this episode where making fun of protest and anti-protest people at the same time, and the anti-protesters saying, well, if you don't like America, you can get out. And sadly, that's a sentiment that does exist, even in people, fairly popular figures that are expressing that, whether directly or with euphemistic language, something like that. But I just honestly don't understand. I understand why it was controversial to begin with. Mm-hmm. The national anthem and the flag and the importance that it has for so many people, myself included, having had two grandfathers that served. Yep. It does mean something.
My grandfather was in the military too.
But at the same time,
got friends in the military.
I think that it is important too to view it in a nuanced way on both sides. And I think if you asked these protesters, would you rather live anywhere else? No, probably not. But here's the deal. What I'm protesting is that we can do better. I think that's an all right sentiment to have.
And to get back to the sports thing, which I think this is all about, is I like that athletes and coaches like Lovie Smith promote players to be activists if they know about the issues. Like I think that is healthy. I think that is a good thing for our future in this country.
They're at college to learn.
Yes.
Come on.
Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald and Review. We'll talk about Wes Lunt. We'll talk about Lovie Smith. We'll talk about the Illini heading to Nebraska coming up next.
It is the Tay and J Show.
Sports fans, football season is here, and it's time to make it rain. Build your bankroll like the pros at MyBookie.lv. An industry-leading website, MyBookie offers real Vegas odds and incredible player props. Sick and tired of getting the runaround when you're ready to get paid? Join MyBookie today for fast, no-hassle payouts. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar, up to $1,000. Act now and receive an additional 10% bonus when you join and deposit within the next 30 minutes. Enter promo code RADIO. Pull out your smartphone and sign up with their user-friendly mobile site for adrenaline on demand. Did the game already kick off? Don't sweat it. MyBookie has live in-game action with odds updated in real time. Visit MyBookie today. Use promo code RADIO to claim your 100% bonus before it's too late. Or call 844-900-BETS to open your account and start winning. Play with the biggest, win with the best. Only at MyBookie.lv.
Have you thought about popping the question? Well, take an E with the Tay and J Show. ESPN 93.5 and Christopher and Company are helping area gentlemen propose to their ladies with the ultimate engagement. Christopher and Company in downtown Champaign will provide store credit for the engagement ring, and Lon and Jeremy will help with the rest. But we need your help. Vote for the guy you think should win today at ESPNCU.com. Listen to the podcast, then place your vote for our Take an E contestants: Cody, Zach, Lucas, or Evan. Decide who wins by voting now at ESPNCU.com.
Live from the Habib BPC studios, this is WSJK Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. They want the same thing, but don't agree on how to do it. That's the bottom line on a stopgap spending bill blocked in the U.S. Senate, with time running out to avoid a possible government shutdown Saturday.
The Republican continuing resolution also ignores the 2.5-year crisis in Flint, Michigan.
Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid says if emergency funding for Louisiana flooding is included, money to address Flint's water crisis should be too. Republicans want that handled separately.
It's almost as if a few Democratic leaders decided long ago that bringing our country to the brink would make for good election year politics.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has now filed a substitute amendment stripping the flood money from the stopgap bill. Donald Trump says he really enjoyed his first debate with Hillary Clinton.
Very big moment, very important moment, talking about a lot of very important subjects.
Also saying he thinks he did really well. Trump's in Florida for a rally tonight after a Little Havana roundtable event earlier in Miami.
It's been amazing, the support we're getting more and more and more.
Including, he says, support in the Hispanic community. Hillary Clinton at a North Carolina rally saying she wants to be a president who brings people together.
Sets those goals, gets about the business of achieving them, and proves once and for all that love trumps hate. Thank you!
Clinton's also urging supporters to register to vote, predicting record turnout in November. The final numbers aren't in yet, but last night's showdown appears likely to break the record for most watched presidential debate ever, topping 81 million viewers in preliminary network estimates. The previous record was 80.6 million for the only debate between President Jimmy Carter and challenger Ronald Reagan in 1980. No debate since has topped 70 million. Wall Street bounces back. The Dow up 133, the S&P up 13, NASDAQ up 48. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
When it comes to commercial vehicles, it's time to drill down to the details. If you're not driving the new Sprinter Worker from Mercedes-Benz, your van just isn't cutting it. The Sprinter Worker takes payload up a notch, carrying up to 3,512 pounds. Its cargo volume is cranked up too, with over 300 cubic feet of space. When it comes to safety, it's unmatched, but it's the price that'll really hammer it home. The new Sprinter Worker starts at just $32,495. It also has a service interval of up to 20,000 miles and the highest residual value in its class, according to ALG. Put that in your pipe and weld it. Huge capacity, small price, starting at just $32,495. The all-new Sprinter Worker, starting at only $32,495. Mercedes-Benz, vans born to run.
MSRP for a 2016 Sprinter Worker excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
A shift in ISIS recruitment. FBI Chief James Comey telling a Senate hearing the number of Americans traveling to Syria and Iraq since last summer has stayed at historic lows. Fox's Catherine Herridge.
ISIS has apparently lost some of its appeal to the extent that U.S. citizens are just not willing to travel in the same numbers to Iraq and Syria. But as we make military progress, and that continues in the region, it is pushing back the Islamic State's territory, and it's creating a new challenge, which is thousands of foreign fighters returning to their home countries.
The so-called caliphate will be crushed. The challenge will be, through the fingers of that crush are going to come hundreds of very, very dangerous people.
And increasingly, these terrorists are becoming very masterful at using encryption to not only hide their communications, but also their plans and their network of contacts.
At that same hearing, the Homeland Security Chief saying a review is underway on the hundreds of people who'd been slated for deportation, but got U.S. citizenship by mistake instead. 10 miles of temporary flood walls holding so far in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where city officials say the Cedar River crested at 22 feet, a foot below what they expected, 9 feet below 2008 flooding that was historic. Thousands have evacuated. Schools remain closed through tomorrow as a precaution. The boss goes home. Bruce Springsteen greeted by thousands of hometown fans as he launches a book tour. Some camping out for 2 days at a Barnes & Noble in Freehold to pose for a picture with Springsteen and get a signed copy of his autobiography, Born to Run. In it, he recalls his New Jersey childhood, his rise to superstardom, and personal struggles along the way. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
Here's your ESPN Radio 3-day forecast brought to you by Chief Bauer. Trust the AC and heating experts at Chief Bauer Service Experts to keep you comfortable all year long. Call 866-EXPERTS or visit chiefbauer.com. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 50. That was kind of creepy. Wednesday, chance of rain, high 62, low of 53. Thursday, chance of rain, high 69, a low of 58. Right now, sunny, clear, beautiful, 75 in Champaign-Urbana.
I didn't ask you this. Do you want music under the intro?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
Just play it by itself.
Okey-doke.
That doesn't seem to always come naturally for him. That's a little outside his comfort zone. Some of the things you're talking about. So is
that I didn't know that. I've been learning it. Yeah.
So it takes a little urging to say go that direction.
Well, it's just it's playing the position. It's being the captain of the team. It's being the fifth-year senior quarterback of the team. It's just, he's the one that signed up to be the quarterback. And he's been the quarterback his whole life. He's won state championships here in the state. Now you're the captain of the team. So there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that also.
Mark Tupper asking the questions, Garrick McGee answering them. Garrick McGee had some interesting things to say about quarterback Wes Lunt.
There goes Tupper, stirring things up again.
Start with me asking him, what do they got to do to, fix the problems or get their offense going the way they want. And he said, well, we need our big guns to produce. So I, of course, went to Wes Lunt, asked him about if the backups would go, and then Mark started asking some follow-ups as well. But it was really interesting stuff. And joining us now on the Jupiter's The Crossing phone line, don't forget, half-off large pizzas all day at Jupiter's The Crossing is Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald and Review.
Got a good reason for talking Illini sports now with Mark Tupper, a one-out rider, yeah. He's been here so long, knows a lot, so let's chat now.
Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald and Review. How you doing, Tups?
I'll try one more time here.
We got Mark there? Mark, you on the line?
Well, one more time.
Mark Tupper, are you there? Let's give him a call.
I am.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
There he is. Oh, what'd you think of Garrick McGee yesterday?
I thought he was very blunt.
Yep.
And I think he's asking for a quarterback that he's not going to get. I probably shouldn't have said what I said the way I said it, because he should ask it as a question. And I was just like, well, you do know you're asking him to do something that he's not comfortable with and is outside of his comfort zone. And he said, I didn't know that, but I'm learning it. And I just don't know if Wes has it within himself to deliver that. And I thought it was really interesting. I know exactly where he's coming from. I think the fans know where he's coming from, that there's just a visible fire that teammates and fans and coaches respond to that is just not there with Wes. He's a quiet, laid back guy, and I don't see him doing those things. I would love to be wrong, and I would be entertained to be wrong and to see him come out and do all those things. I tell you what, if he was under a pass rush and he tucked the ball and ran 8 yards for a first down, people would go crazy. If he knocked the defender over doing it, people would jump out of their clothes. It would be amazing, because that's the kind of thing we just don't get to see from Wes.
Yeah, it's the things you saw at Riley O'Toole that got people behind him and his team, I think, believing in him as well. People think Wes doesn't care. I think he cares a lot. His teammates say he works harder than anybody. They respect him. They voted a captain. But he has not played well this year. Even if he was playing well, I don't know how good this team is. But I think, Tubbs, you're right. I don't think this is going to work. I don't know if this is the way to get to Wes Lunt. And maybe that's the problem. But he's such an introvert that I find it interesting that you had Lovie Smith publicly kind of criticizing his quarterback, and now you have Garrick McGee. Just the entire thing makes me think, is this their last-ditch effort? Will they eventually go to Chase Crouch, or is this going to work?
I think they will eventually make a change. I think they are saying this, what we're talking about here, is not an issue that for compromise. Either you play with, you don't have to be a runner, you can be a pocket passer, but you've got to show some fire, some passion that we can all see and this team can feed off of. And if you don't, then we'll go to another guy who's probably not as good, but who can maybe give us that, and we'll take our chances with that. That's what I am reading into it as he was talking yesterday. And when I went over and asked Wes about it, he was, I think he knew where I was coming from, but he was not very committal on, hey, I'm going to be Mr. Fired Up. He said they want me to hold myself to a higher standard, and I've got to be prepared, and I've got to put our team in good situations. Well, I think that's what he would have said a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. I'll be curious to see if he can find that within himself. I'm doubtful.
Yeah, he said to me and Shannon, I am who I am. It's hard to be someone you're not. So I thought that was interesting, Carp.
Mark, it seems it seems to me, too, going back to the introductory press conference with Lovie Smith. Well, not the introductory one, but I think before week one. And he was very pointed. Of course, he made the joke about what's our quarterback. And then he got into their personalities and how they kind of mesh. I get the sense, and I want to get your take on this, that it's really less to do about grabbing a teammate by the face mask and yelling at them after, do better. I think it's less the visual fire and maybe more the style of play. Do you think that's more accurate, or do you think it's kind of a combination of all those things?
I think it's both those things. I think that it is the visible fire. I think that has to be part of it, that when things don't go well, that he's got to get loud. He's got to grab people. He's got to do something to ignite that team, because when he's quiet and he does nothing and he shows no emotion, I think one of the messages I got from Garrick is they're going to follow the captain's lead. And if that's the lead, the whole team becomes quiet and docile a little bit, whereas, if he was showing more fire, they would deliver more fire. I don't know that it ought to be that way, but that is the way it is. And it kind of almost makes you wonder if someone else should have been captain on that offense, but really there aren't a lot of those guys. I was thinking about those wide receivers. That's a pretty quiet group. There isn't, Mikey Dudek might have been that kind of a guy, but he's not out there right now. And so I don't know. Joe Spencer's the other offensive captain, and he might be able to be that kind of a guy. I think they're in a kind of a tough situation, searching for a brand of leadership that they may not have much of.
Was he voted potentially, captain by default? In other words, doesn't it look bad if your senior quarterback isn't voted captain? And I wonder if the players kind of have that same sense when they were the ones voting for it.
I think there's some truth in that, and I think the other truth is that if you begin to go through the lineup of offensive starters, where realistically are your options? Seriously, if I think about the guys who might potentially have that kind of personality, I honestly, on that team, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think, Keyshawn Vaughn is relatively new, and he doesn't strike me as a fiery guy. Offensive line, they probably did good with Joe Spencer, and the guards hadn't played enough to merit being captains. At the receiver position, Malik Turner doesn't strike me as that kind of a guy. Justin Hardy hadn't played in a couple of years. I don't know. It was the choices were few and far between.
Kendrick Foster might be one of them at this point, but who would have known that before the season as well? Wes Lunt can still play well, going forward, but I just thought, I don't know if we're going to see great Wes Lunt because I don't like his environment. His offensive line was terrible last game. They've been terrible most of the year with all the flip-flopping they've had to do with injuries. The wide receivers can't get open. And now you head to number 15, Nebraska, and they're lost their last 2 games by 49 points. This could be another dangerous, embarrassing moment for Illinois football going into Lincoln.
It's really true, and Nebraska's taken the ball away 10 times already. I mean, there's a lot of things stacking up against them. And so when they make a judgment about Wes, it won't be, I don't believe, on whether or not they win or they lose. I think if Garrett could see some effort in the areas that he laid out there, and passion and fire and all that kind of stuff, that, they may not be good enough to beat Nebraska with Wes playing at his best this year. Last year they were, but they may not be good enough to do that. So I think that'll be interesting to see how is the judgment going to be made, and what feeling does he get from the rest of the team? Are they looking to follow Wes, or are they giving up on that? I think that's going to be part of it too. I would say he'd probably get a couple more games, and if you lose and you're not getting a response from Wes on those areas, that's when I would think maybe he'd say, you know what, let's see if we can get somebody else in there and get us fired up.
He's Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald Review. You can follow him on Twitter at Mark Tupper. Is the bigger story the defense, which is 13th in the Big Ten at 28.3 points allowed per game? Penn State is the only one that's giving up more points per game. Is that a bigger disappointment right now?
A big disappointment in terms of their run defense, their linebacker play outside of Hardy Nickerson. Yes, I mean, I think all of that is disappointing. It's funny because they've got really good numbers in terms of their pass rushing, but they're not doing a lot else better and that's disappointing. There's no doubt about that. They've got to figure out a way to stop teams from gouging them with the run and breaking off big plays and giving up big plays in the passing game. I was a little worried about their secondary, but yes, there's some issues there as well, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this coaching staff handles this because I was a little surprised by the force of Garrick McGee's language on Monday. I mean, he laid it right out there for you. He didn't hide it at all. So they're clearly not worried about whether or not any of this offends Wes's sensibilities. I mean,
they know what they're doing, right? I mean, they've been around long enough to know that this gets back to the players, and they're trying to send a message. So, but for me to do it this early in the season, it means that this could be, I didn't think they'd change Wes this quickly, but it seems like, hey, it's put up or shut up time already.
Yeah, it's how it felt. There's no doubt about that. We'll see. I feel bad a little bit for Wes. I've always kind of felt sorry for him because of the circumstances of his career. This is a guy with 4 head coaches and 7 offensive coordinators. I mean, and you had the last 2 head coaches both told him, "Don't run, no physical contact,
fall
dive
down
to the ground, curl up in the fetal position and hide. We cannot afford to get you hurt." Now you got guys saying, "Tuck the ball and run. Show some spine." I'm sure there's moments where he's like, "Oh, yeah, here we go again."
Right.
Well, and it's more just the coaching staff. Thinking back to that Northwestern game and the reaction of fans afterwards, and yeah, it can certainly go overboard sometime, but it does seem as if, when we're writing the chapter in Illinois football history about the Wes Lunt era, that you almost have to grade it an incomplete because, as you said, Mark, there just never seemed to be anything consistent enough around him, and then his own performance has been remarkably inconsistent as well.
Well, he's been here at a most inopportune time. There's no doubt about it. He's not the only one. A lot of these players have been here through just a catastrophe of changes, and I feel a little bit bad about that. But, and Wes is one of those guys whose numbers kind of pass the eye test. If you think about, I think he's got 34 or 35 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions. There's nothing wrong with that. But they haven't translated into the other things, and he's never won the crowd over, never won the fans over. His signature play, if this were to fall apart this week and we were not to see Wes any longer, his signature play is standing there looking like a deer in the headlights with North Carolina closing in around him and dropping the ball on the ground. That's the play that fans will remember. Man, you don't want to be remembered for that.
Yeah, that stinks. On the good news, Mark, Deion Thomas, Illini Radio Network analyst, it's going to be good to have him around the program.
Oh, man, I go back all the way with Deion, 27 years, and covered him throughout that investigation. He's always been one of my favorite guys. He's just a really nice human being. If people, I know everybody that's an Illinois fan is very familiar with Deion, but may not have ever had an opportunity to even hear his voice. And now they're going to have an opportunity to hear it all the time as he joins with Brian Barnhart on those radio broadcasts. But a really good guy who has wanted desperately to get back involved with the university, would love to have been a coach. That hasn't worked out for him. But this opportunity and the Big Ten Network as well, he's going to be doing some Big Ten Network stuff. It's a great thing. You know, the Big Ten Network is really, among all the other good things it's done, including that monster check that shows up every year, has provided a lot of jobs for people who were former athletes and former coaches, including a number of Illinois people. And it's good to see them in the mix. I'm happy that he's getting the chance. It's going to be interesting, though, because I think that first year is really hard as you search for that sweet spot between being the hometown announcer and also being able to come with some legitimate criticism in an appropriate way. And it's not always easy for these guys. They're trying to impress a lot of people. And we'll see how Deion makes his way around that. Jerry Hester got pretty good at it.
Yeah, we told Deion yesterday, hey, the one criticism we'd have of you is you're too nice. So it will be interesting to watch.
You know, Mark, I want to conduct a quick litmus test of my own bias regarding Big Ten basketball. Last hour, because yesterday a lot of the names, was it the actual preseason All Big Ten?
Well, the Big Ten sent out its preseason All Big Ten forms for us to fill out, Mark, and I filled out my 10, and as I was filling out my Player of the Year vote, I went with Bronson Koenig because he's going to be one of the. I mean, Wisconsin's the best team in this conference, most likely, and I just think if I'm picking a guy, it's going to be him, Ethan Happ, or Melo Trimble. But I asked a lot of people saying you wouldn't take Malcolm Hill over those guys. What do you think? Would you take Malcolm Hill over those three guys, Happ, Koenig, and Melo Trimble?
You know, it's a good question. I would consider taking Malcolm over those guys. Malcolm has improved every year and I think is going to be really good. I don't think he'll have the benefit of being on a team that is as high in the standings as Wisconsin is. So thus your Happ and Koenig considerations there. So I don't, you know, that's a great debate. And I don't know what the answer to that is, but I would consider it if that was your question. Yes, I would consider it. Would I do it? I don't know. That's a tough one. I haven't filled mine out yet.
It's a tough call because Denzel Valentine ain't here anymore, and that was an easy vote last year.
Yeah, exactly right. And I was talking to somebody about basketball the other day. I mean, I'm just, you know, that's going to be here. I'm still having a hard time with all this stuff being out in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Media Day and the tournament and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time with it. But it must be the right decision because Jim Delaney made it, and I don't remember him making a bad decision. So.
It'll be in New York soon, just so we can get more Rutgers beat writers out there.
Right, exactly.
Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald Review. Follow his stuff at Mark Tupper on Twitter. Always appreciate the time, Tubbs.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, good stuff from Mark Tupper, as always.
Media Day?
Media Day's out in D.C. I'm not going this year. I thought of going D.C. to Rutgers. You know, it's the same weekend as Rutgers, which is, 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I thought of a long weekend, go to D.C., go to Rutgers, but I got a kid at home.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Be in D.C. by myself while my wife's with the kid.
You won't be the only person abstaining from going to that. I got to think that's going to be a pretty small turnout as far as the regulars.
The Rutgers beat writers can get there.
That is true.
And for us, it's like, yes, we can get like an hour with gross, but is it worth 3 days of a hotel? For us, you know, our travel budgets and things like that. No. But I get why Delaney's doing it, and you can't. It's hard to question Jim Delaney. It's kind of like with like John Mazalok or whatever. It's hard to question these guys when every move they've made really has panned out.
I think the only thing I've ever had a problem with Delaney is that it always seemed like the Big Ten got the short end of the stick in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, like schedules. I'd be like, well, why is Michigan State at home this year?
Throw your weight around, Delaney.
Right. Yeah. You can always give us a call. Jupiter's at the Crossing phone line at 359-2255 or text us The Cheap Hour text line, same number, 359-2255.
We'll talk about the Bears with Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com, at about 5:30. More bad Bears news that we'll talk about. And Lovey talked a lot about recruiting yesterday. We'll get to that here in a little bit.
It is the Tay and J Show.
When you need hit music, you need Champaign-Urbana's hit music station. All the hits, Q96, where they start every workday with a Q96 Minute Music Marathon. A proud sister station to ESPN Radio 93.5.
Planet Fitness Urbana, now opened on Philo Road. Join now for $1 down, $10 a month. Offer expires this Friday, September 30th. Planet Fitness, $1 down, $10 a month, ending this Friday. Planet Fitness Urbana, brand new Philo Road location, the judgment-free zone.
Heating, cooling, or plumbing problems in your home or business? Why call and coordinate multiple contractors when you can make just one call? Matix Service has over 22 years of experience in heating, cooling, and plumbing. Matix offers high-efficiency train equipment that is reliable. And Matix provides 24/7 service calls at regular service rates. Visit mattexservice.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Urbana, Champaign, St. Joe, Philo, Mahomet, wherever you're from, Addie's is your place to go for good food and great times. It's Addie's for signature sandwiches, Addie's for appetizers, Addie's for your favorite drinks. Enjoy homemade soups daily, and for atmosphere, it's Addie's Bar and Grill. With friends and 12 TVs, it's your new favorite spot. There's nothing else that compares with Addie's Bar and Grill at Stone Creek, just off Windsor Road in Urbana. Open to the public every day. Visit online at addies.net.
None of us can predict the future, but that doesn't mean we can't prepare for it. How will your family survive when you're gone? And how do you know if you have enough life insurance? Beacon Insurance makes it easy with their convenient life insurance calculator. Visit www.beaconinsurance.com/life calculator. Then talk to your local independent Beacon Insurance agency about a life insurance policy that will give you peace of mind and keep your family financially stable in the future. Life insurance from Beacon Insurance always goes beyond the expected. Are you at your best when the whistle blows? With Carl Sports Medicine, you can jump higher, run faster, and be on your game every time. Take advantage of our professional athletic training services, plus injury prevention and free sports medicine walk-in clinics with injury experts. Get ready to reach your personal best. Visit carl.org/sportsmedicine or call 217-383-3300. Carl, official medical provider of Fighting Illini Athletics.
Hi, my name is Fred Wakefield. I'm a former Fighting Illini football player, 8-year NFL veteran, and now a graduate of the University of Illinois MBA program. I decided to get MBA because before I was ever a professional athlete, I was a student and someone wanting to really go into the business world. The best part about the MBA experience with the University of Illinois was the people involved in the program. Professors who were absolutely outstanding, fellow students who I still lean on a regular basis. I would definitely recommend Illinois' MBA program. Talked to a few different people about it. One guy actually played in the NFL for a number of years and called and asked about it. And I know that it's a program that continues to grow. I just think it's made a world of difference for me, and it will continue to as I progress through life and business. A University of Illinois MBA has allowed me not just the confidence, but also the tools to be able to move forward and continue to grow in business.
Earn your professional MBA 2 nights a week. Find out more at professionalmba.illinois.edu. That's professionalmba.illinois.edu.
Lon, I have to admit, you've been on quite the health kick lately.
Absolutely, Jeremy, but I've had some help from the folks at the Mettler Center in Champaign. It's a fitness and wellness center, and they provide a personalized experience for everyone.
For starters, you can get a free 30-minute consult to find the right program for you, and they even have massage therapy.
Massage therapy, personal training, physical therapy, you name it, they got it.
And if you have a question, visit MettlerCenter.com and click on Ask an Expert.
The Mettler Center at the corner of Windsor and Duncan in Champaign. Visit online at MettlerCenter.com.
Coach Mike Ditka is not just talking sports. What will he say next? Hear him here Monday and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 8 with Brother Johnny and me, Stevie J, on ESPN Radio 93.5.
I'm Austin Berkland, and this is your 4:30 SportsCenter update. Illinois football opens up Big Ten play as 21-point underdog on Saturday against the Cornhuskers in Lincoln, Nebraska at 2:30 on ESPN2. Quarterback Wes Lunt responds to criticism by his coaches about his passion.
Yeah, I think I can in my own way. I am who I am. That's the way God made me, and so I think I will continue to be that way, but try to, show more emotion, however that may be when the situation arises. It's hard to be someone you're not, and I think everyone can relate to that, just not being who everyone wants you to be. So I'm going to try to be the best me I can be, and just lead our offense in the best way I can.
The Miami Marlins played their first game without pitcher Jose Fernandez in the dugout. The pregame ceremony started with a moment of silence, followed by a single trumpet rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." All the Mets gave a Marlins player a hug. Then in the third pitch at the bottom of the first, D. Gordon hit a solo home run and was met with tears in the Marlin dugout. The Cardinals are still in a battle for the wild card race, but it took a huge hit last night when they fell to the Reds 15-2. Jaime Garcia only made it through one inning, giving up 4 hits, and two of those hits being solo home runs. Michael Wacha came in relief and wasn't much relief, surrendering 7 home runs in 2 2/3 innings. After the loss, they remain 1 game out of the second wildcard spot after the Mets' loss. Bears defensive back Kyle Fuller has been placed on the IR list with a knee injury, NFL Network reporter Ian Rappaport reports. The Cubs notched their 100th victory after a 12-2 beatdown of NL Central rival Pittsburgh Pirates. Javi Baez did his second grand slam of the season and drove in 6 RBIs for the Cubs. You can hear the game tonight between John Lackey and Kyle Vogelsong tonight here on our sister station Sunny 95.3 at 6:05.
Thank you, Austin. This segment of the Tay and J Show brought to you by MyBookie.lv. Check out the odds, get in on the action, or just call them at 844-722-BETS. MyBookie.lv.
And the betting lines are moving after the debate, so we're going to spend this entire segment talking about politics. Trump, Clinton, what do you think? 359-2255.
Clinton's a minus 250, so you got to bet 250 to make 100?
And I think it was minus 120. What was it? The line moved in her direction. I'm not good with money lines.
Yeah.
You give me a spread.
It's like minus 175, I think.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So, yeah, she improved her odds a little bit there, according to Vegas. And Vegas knows what it's doing.
And I wonder if you could bet on Electoral College, over-under, things like that.
The Electoral College, yeah. What do you think?
Gotta get rid of it.
Is it time to get rid of that thing?
I think it is.
Like, I don't get it. Like, why do we keep going with that? Like, shouldn't one vote count for one?
It's an archaic system.
Like, a vote in South Dakota matters a little more, and we know Ohio and Florida matters a lot more.
What I found out last night is Maine splits their 2 electoral votes.
Yes, they do.
So that could come into play. It would take a really weird path where that would be the ultimate deciding factor.
That sounds like a John Oliver. Why is this still a thing?
Well,
the Electoral College.
I mean, logically speaking, what it does do in certain states is it says your vote doesn't matter as much as the guy over in Ohio.
Right.
When it comes to the presidential stuff. Obviously, local elections, that's different.
Like, our vote really doesn't matter.
No, it hasn't for a while. I'm trying to think.
Unless everybody didn't vote, your vote really doesn't.
No, I think Reagan did win here in 84.
Yes.
But that was the year he won 49 states.
Everywhere,
out of 50. So that is probably the last one.
What was the one state that the Dems won that year?
Oh, who was he going against? Mondale?
Yeah.
So is he from Minnesota?
Yeah.
I think so.
That's pretty impressive by Reagan there. Anyway.
So favorite losing presidential candidate? Is it Walter Mondale? Is it
Bob Dole?
What are some of the other names? Okay, actually, let's see how far back we can go.
Okay.
So going back in descending order, Romney, McCain, Kerry, Gore.
Poor Gore. He'd be sitting there. That's why I do not like the Electoral College.
Bob Dole.
George
Bush
H.W.
Sr.
Bush.
In 88.
Then it was Mondale, right?
Dukakis in 88. Mondale in 80.
Jimmy Carter.
Right. Then in 76, Ford. 72, Nixon beat McGovern.
That's when he got in trouble.
Yeah. Went downhill after that.
He was crushing him. And then he just decides, let's spy on them because I'm paranoid.
Who did Nixon beat in 68? It wasn't Lyndon B. Johnson. Was it?
I wasn't alive then.
Was it Humphrey?
It was kind of a ridiculous Democratic National Convention, right?
Yeah, and then 64, I remember this because we had an advertising class, and it covered the most effective political ads of all time. In 64, LBJ beat Goldwater. And have you heard of the ad Daisy?
Yes.
Sorry, my voice kind of cracked there.
Yeah.
Daisy?
It's the nuclear codes.
She's singing a song and, taking petals off a flower, and then, boom, nuclear explosion.
And, of course, JFK beat Nixon.
That's right. That brings it all full circle, because last night, I think, when it comes to monumental TV political things, you probably go back to the beginning, 60, with Nixon and Kennedy, the first televised debate. And then between then and what last night, all the hype and everything around it, that was probably it.
Rolling Stone released their 100 greatest TV shows of all time. I got to admit, I heard this on the Dan Patrick Show this morning, but Carp, being the TV show connoisseur that you are, I find this interesting. You tell me if this sounds right or not. I'll give you the top 20, and then we'll hit on some ones that we think are really interesting.
Okay.
The number one show of all time.
Very happy about this.
I've never seen it.
Oh.
The Sopranos.
Yeah.
That's your show.
It is rich and dense, and the characters are unbelievable. The acting, James Gandolfini, and if they did a list of best actors in television history, best TV characters, I guess.
How closely is his character to Martin Brando and Godfather?
Oh, not even close.
Okay.
Because the thing about Tony Soprano is he is relatable. Despite him, when you look at the money that he has and the lifestyle he lives, it wouldn't really be that way, but Gandolfini brought a lot of humanity to a guy that, at the end of the day, you wonder, I mean, is he a sociopath?
Yeah.
With the things that he has to do. But then he's also a family man. So it's a show that from day one until the very end, there's a few episodes in the 60 or whatever that aren't so great, that aren't really memorable.
Every show has one of those seasons.
A few clunkers. But for the most part, that show was fantastic. And I think its final season, it's really dark, but its final season was as good as any. And you don't often see that.
Number 2, The Wire. I just started watching this. I'm going to slowly go about it, but I'm 3 episodes in. It's the laying the groundwork of it. I can see where this is going to get really good. And The Wire was one of the first of these, right?
Yeah.
Like that really changed TV and really turned HBO into what it is now.
I got to watch season 5. Seasons 3 and 4 are incredible. And then I heard 5, bit of a drop off, and I got maybe a few episodes into that. There are plenty of payoffs, and I know early on it doesn't really seem that way.
Right.
It's a very
I just heard Omar's name for the first time.
Yes.
Right, and I know he's the guy.
He's coming up.
Right.
But
he's kind of a big character.
It's a dry show. But the amazing thing about how dry and almost documentary-like that it is that when it does have the emotional payoff, it's that much more authentic. They don't toy with you.
I'm 3 episodes in. I already care about the characters. That's a good sign, right? And that's why Star Wars, the prequels, suck.
Yes.
Right.
Which, by the way,
I started watching those on TNT.
I know.
And I was like, man, I just do not care about these people.
I know.
Why did you have to screw these up?
I turned it on when Anakin and Padme were in the field.
Oh, it's so bad.
He's got a little rat tail in his hair.
Anyway, number 3. Speaking of bad, Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Definitely deserves
That's my number 2 show.
It's
behind The Sopranos.
It's top 3 for me. I like this show. Juan and I love this show at number 4. Overrated, though, in my book.
Okay.
At this number. Mad Men, number 4.
Never got into it.
Beautiful show. Really slow, but I kind of like that in a way because life kind of goes like this. It's about something not cops, not drugs, not that. So there is something refreshing about that. But, man, number 4 over some of these shows we're going to talk about. 5, Seinfeld.
Oh, man.
Number 1 comedy on the list.
You know, the thing with Seinfeld is you really could chop off seasons 1 and 2. And then seasons 8 and 9, depending on who you ask, it got too goofy for some people, that it lost its intelligence, I guess. But some of my favorite episodes, the Muffin Tops.
Got too big for its own britches.
A little bit. The Frogger episode.
Yeah.
And those were late. But really, it is in the middle seasons, like 4, 5, and 6.
That turns into more like the Friends kind of comedy.
It did.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Number 6, The Simpsons. That'd be top 5 for me.
It would have to be. But the thing that might hurt it is it's still on. The longevity is respectable. I'll be honest, I have not watched The New Simpsons in many years.
But I haven't watched a show as much as I've ever watched The Simpsons.
Right. And I can go back, and if you give me anything between seasons 1 and 9, maybe 10, I'm watching it.
7, The Twilight Zone.
Yes, a good choice. And I've only watched a select few, maybe 8 episodes. It holds up. And for a show in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, the acting is not over the top as it often was back then. The writing, though, Rod Serling was genius. And he wrote, I believe, was the chief writer on every single episode. And back then, you had 4 seasons, and each one was about 35 episodes long.
Nuts. Number 8, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Hard to keep that from going in the top 10. I mean, it just had such an influence. So many big careers started off of SNL, and such great writing. I mean, you've had so much great writing. I mean, obviously some episodes aren't that good.
Yeah.
But there's some down seasons of it, but it's as influential as any show.
A great list would be worst SNL cast member each season.
And well, Rolling Stone did a list of rankings of all the characters. Oh.
I disagree with it vehemently. Norm Macdonald.
Was it really?
Was the last.
Yeah.
And I know that people, the update turned people off. I didn't like it when I was younger, but in hindsight, it was pretty funny. And he was Turd Ferguson.
That's right. Just for that, he doesn't deserve to be on. Number 9, All in the Family. Obviously, that attacked cultural issues that no one was doing in the 70s. Number 10, The Daily Show.
With Jon Stewart.
With Jon Stewart. I mean,
no offense to
they just
Noah.
list The Daily Show, but Jon Stewart, I can't believe he didn't go through this election cycle.
Yeah, well, you know, it's probably taxing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, think of how, you have to come
He
every
got
night.
so angry. Like, it was so passionate about it. That's what made it great.
Yeah.
11, Freaks and Geeks. Really liked the show. 18 shows. Judd Apatow, with all those great movies, those comedies he's done, did great with this. And there's so many great young actors in there. Jason Segel, Franco,
Rogen.
Seth Rogen, Martin Starr. You'd probably know if you watched, what's that TV show about the nerds? Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
He's in
okay,
Silicon Valley. But it's really, really good, kind of coming of age, but it only lasted 18 episodes.
Right.
A little high.
I remember that coming up on NBC, and it just kind of faded after a while. But I remember hearing good things when it was out.
Game of Thrones, number 12.
Is that, okay, so with Game of Thrones,
it'd be over Mad Men for me. Breaking Bad might be a better show, but I think Game of Thrones is the most entertaining.
Okay, so that's it. It's one of those things where you would never put Empire Strikes Back #1 film of all time, but it's that perfect bridge of quality and entertaining. Looks great.
If I went back and watched shows, like I probably wouldn't go back and watch all of Breaking Bad. I would go back and watch all of Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones, that movie, like, for me, Return of the King or The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I am going to throw those movies in and watch them all the time, right? That's how Game of Thrones would be for me. I don't know if I could go through Breaking Bad and watch the entire thing.
And if you
again.
did, you'd start like season 3.
Right, exactly. Yeah. 13, Late Night with David Letterman. 14, The Larry Sanders Show.
Wow, you see, I got HBO, and they have all the episodes. I need to give that a shot.
15, The West Wing. I started it, watched like most of the first season, but there's so many episodes. I liked it. I like Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Sometimes he goes too Sorkin on you and talks too fast.
As in The Newsroom, which is probably not in the top 100.
No, but season 1 of The Newsroom, really good.
It was.
The West Wing, though, I can see why people like it because it's kind of an ideal look at government that we never see.
Right.
16, MASH. You surprised it's not higher?
Okay, the thing with MASH, and maybe it has to be a generational thing. I remember being younger, and that usually was the 6:30 show on Channel 3. Because they always have, well, now it's like Access Hollywood or something like that. But it used to be that 6:30 on all the networks was a syndicated comedy. But I never laughed. And I know it's more adult, intelligent humor, whatever, but that show, I don't get it. I don't get MASH. But the movie's good.
17, Twin Peaks. 18, Star Trek. 19, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb at its best is every bit as funny as Seinfeld.
I feel like the episodes kind of do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Sometimes. It gets a little repetitive for me.
And Twin Peaks is an interesting choice because that's on Netflix for anyone that has it. If you like David Lynch, kind of out there stuff, but I recommend it.
20, Cheers.
Okay.
21, The Office UK. I'm going to go up the list. 24, Friday Night Lights. I get it. It probably isn't going to rank a lot higher than that because it's kind of like a teen show sometimes, but that's one of the best. That's in my top 5.
I've heard nothing but great
Friday
things
Night
about
Lights is phenomenal. Veep, number 25. I've never seen it. Heard it's
fun.
great.
It's funny.
26, Friends. 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that too high?
Probably, but
it
probably.
went for a long
Is it the
time.
most popular sitcom of all time?
I think Seinfeld's.
Seinfeld, and I think for the masses.
It depends on how you're measuring it.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, I think if you're looking now with syndication and all that, but if you're looking back then, the highest rated Friends episode versus the highest rated Seinfeld, maybe Friends.
Yeah. 33, South Park. I think that's low.
I think it's very low for the impact that show has had. And that I don't like the overt satire as much as I liked when it was a combination of, some comedy episodes, the occasional satire back in the day. But the quick turnaround that they have on that show, how topical they can be and still funny. That's why, I mean, tomorrow night, I got to think they'll do something with what happened last night.
That's right. 36, Law and Order. Good old Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. I mean, every show is entertaining on Law and Order.
And it's the same template, but it works.
Yes. 40, and the acting is phenomenal. 48, The Office US version.
Real quick about Law and Order, Angie Harmon. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Sehorn's wife.
That's right.
50, Mama Warner's favorite, ER.
Oh, that was big.
Colbert Report, 52.
Okay.
Yeah, 24, which was huge when we were in college.
Oh, yeah.
Is number 56.
Did you ever watch that?
No.
It seems like a lawn show.
Beavis and Butthead, number 60.
There we go.
Happy Days, 65.
Okay.
The Odd Couple, 67. These are tending to be really newer shows.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Well, I mean, you can't really go with the CBS Playtime Hour brought to you by Duotone.
Roseanne, number 70.
You know, Roseanne, when that is on Cindy, I didn't watch it that much growing up. That's a funny show.
Yes, it is.
And John Goodman is one of my favorite character actors. And Roseanne, it has edge to it. It still does.
74, the Ren and Stimpy show.
I loved Powdered Toast Man.
I thought it was creepy.
It was creepy.
Creeped me out.
It was very
it was
nasty.
over my head.
It was nasty humor, and they played it as a Nicktoon for kids.
75, American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Isn't that a miniseries?
Yeah, I mean...
that belongs on the list.
I'm sure it's good, but I just watched the night
really
of.
Good.
And I got to think the night of was better.
76, Late Night with Conan O'Brien. I loved Conan O'Brien on NBC.
He always did the Midwest time zone New Year's Eve countdown.
83, House of Cards. Suspend reality, but it is so entertaining.
Yeah.
So entertaining. The Real World, number 85.
What?
Remember when MTV did The Real World?
Well, think about that.
I mean, it was one of the first reality shows.
Exactly.
And it was great. I watched
the early seasons. Yeah.
92, American Idol. It's huge, man.
It is huge.
It was huge. 93, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Was like the Ed Sullivan show on there? Or?
I don't know if I saw it. 94, Jeopardy.
Okay.
95, Key and Peele. Wow.
Well, that was funny, but short-lived. Unless it's still going on. I'm not sure.
And 100, Eastbound and Down.
Oh, that's a great start.
I did not see The Cosby Show.
Yeah, well, it's kind of difficult to do that.
Ed Sullivan Show was number 69, by the way.
Okay, excellent.
We'll talk some Bears coming up. Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com. If you want to weigh in, 359-2255. Lovie Smith talked a little bit about Illinois football recruiting. Found a little bit of it interesting. We'll play that for you coming up next.
It is the Tay and J Show.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. We're offering a great new deal on qualifying Train heating and cooling systems. For a limited time, you can play the Train Big Game promotion by scratching off a trade-in allowance up to $2,000. Or you can choose another way to save. Get 0% interest for 5 years. That's no interest with equal payments and approved credit for 5 years on any qualifying Train system. Both options are for a limited time. So pick your best deal. Up to $2,000 trade allowance or 0% interest for 5 years. Call 1-800-AIR-REPAIR or find us online at landsinc.com. And remember, it's hard to stop a train. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
See Lands, your independent train dealer for program details. Call 888-534-6894 about credit costs and terms. Regular APR is 28.99% for newly opened accounts. Subject to credit approval. Offer expires December 15, 2016.
As a pro, I'm always looking for ways to make my business better. And I know I can trust Lowe's to help me get the job done right. With events that feature special savings just for pros, getting the best price on the things I need couldn't be easier.
Now through October 2nd at Lowe's during Pro Appreciation, Pro customers can get 5% off at lowesforpros.com or 10% off when using a Lowe's Business Credit account. Valid September 26th through October 2nd. See Pro Desk in store for required coupon details and exclusions. Registration required for savings online. Credit offer subject to credit approval. U.S. only.
I'm Beth. I'm a service rep for Cintas, and I help businesses get ready for the unpredictable workday, bad weather, a sudden fire, or a rush of customers. Cintas is your source for fresh mats, crisp uniforms, cleaning programs, safety solutions, and fire protection. Will you be ready today? Get started at Cintas.com. Cintas, ready for the workday.
I'm ready for you. Hope you're ready for me.
Check out the new BMW of Champaign. It's not like the old Twin City. They have new on-site local ownership since 2013, along with a new state-of-the-art facility. With a Customer First Service Award winner for 2015, BMW of Champaign does business your way. Yes, they have tons of cars. Yes, they'll get you what you want. Yes, they discount, deal, and even pick up and deliver. So stop in, ask for Ben, and give BMW of Champaign a look. BMW of Champaign at the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy.
Join Health Alliance and Clark Lindsay as we wrap up Active Aging Week on October 2nd from 2 to 4 with a comedy club at the City Center in Champaign. You'll enjoy live comedy from Zoo Improv and CU comedy comedians Jesse Tuttle and Dave Yates. Admission is free for people who are 55 and better. Be sure to join the fun with Health Alliance and Clark Lindsay. Reserve your seat today by calling 239-5201. That's 239-5201.
John 3:16 states, "For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only Son, so that everyone who believes in him will not perish but have eternal life." If your life has no direction or purpose, if you serve no one but yourself, and if you want to change the direction and outcome of your life, visit a local church this Sunday. Most churches have free Bibles. Ask for one. Start reading and learning about Jesus, his life, and how he wants you to live your life. Make an eternal decision today to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. This message is brought to you by the Blossom Basket Florist. When you're heading home, Tay and J are on your way talking sports. Weekday afternoons 3 to 6 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
You demanded it. Now let's do this another one here. Sorry, wrong script. Bringing the South to you, Buffalo Wild Wings introducing Music City Fire, a new take on Nashville hot sauce. It's a spicy blend of cayenne, paprika, garlic, and more. Can Lon get through this read with all those funky words? Wow, okay.
No, I usually do it.
Okay. Made for wings and made to be eaten while watching football. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports.
We talked to Mark Tupper, Decatur Herald and Review, also Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com. Hey, guys, next hour, I want James Woodard, I want Austin Berkland, I want Mike Carpenter, I want Jeremy Warner's
Whoa.
top 5 TV shows.
Okay.
All right? Since we just went over that list.
Now, can we do a TV show draft? Is that as effective?
No, let's just do a top 5.
Okay.
We'll do a top 5. We'll talk with Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com at 5:30. And at 5:45, we got Mike's Mike. You can ask Mike Carpenter any random question.
Yeah.
Just text us at 359-2255. That's 217-359-2255. We get some good questions rolling in.
Really?
Yeah, we got some really good questions rolling in, but keep them coming. You can tweet me at JWarnerScout or again, text us at 359-2255.
You know, people could also ask if they wanted to about my band's live show on Friday where we're recording a live album, Cowboy Monkey. Show starts at 9, runs to 11, $7 door fee. Also gets you a download code.
Man,
it's Cowboy Monkey.
I feel bad because everybody here went to your acoustic show.
Oh, yeah. Well,
a lot of people
Laura
did.
and Josh did. Diane stopped by. Stevie stopped by.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
That's okay. I'm going to have others.
The kid is getting in the way, man. Just saying.
It's the same for my sister and brother-in-law. It's tough, so I'll have plenty of those.
All right.
And you'll be able to download the live album, but you got to pay for it because you won't be in attendance.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll pay for it.
But it's like $10
I
for 2
like
hours
to support
of music.
my artists.
I appreciate
I still download albums and pay for them on iTunes.
You see, I'm conflicted with that because sometimes I do. I'll put it this way. If I like a band, rest assured they are getting my money.
Yes.
I will find
Even
a
though
way.
the record company gets like 85% of it, right?
That's why I go to the shows. And yeah, Live Nation's going to get about 80% of that,
Right.
but you go to the shows.
Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com at 5:30.
Do we have to talk Bears? I guess we do.
We are. Kyle Fuller out for probably the season.
I like Fishbane, though, so it's always good talking with him. I feel bad he has to go an entire season covering this crap.
But I have to cover Illinois football.
Now, legitimately, though, what is a less enviable position to be in?
I think Illinois is more interesting.
Yeah.
Because the aspect I find interesting, and we're going to have Shannon Ryan on tomorrow, and she actually interviewed me for a column she's doing, I believe after they lose to Nebraska.
It's in the back pocket for
right,
one. Yeah.
Right, because I think a lot of Illini fans are 1-3 under Lovey. Where's this thing going? I said before the year, I find the recruiting aspect of this year more interesting than what happens on the field. And of course, they're not mutually exclusive, right? But even if you have success this year, it means nothing for next year unless it helps you get a couple recruits because you're losing all your top players. You have no juniors really right now. Your sophomore class isn't all that good. So it's really based on what Lovey brings into this program, and we know that's where you build up a program in college sports. So what he does in recruiting is the most interesting thing to me. They're off to a solid start. Next year's a huge year. How they finish this class is a huge year because that's what got Ronzo going. He just couldn't sustain it. He couldn't win with the great players when he got the great players outside of 2007.
Well, and what will be interesting to see is if you really, really struggle this year, you can certainly sell the immediate playing time, and that goes for the 2018 recruits as well.
Yes.
And you are still, though, I think, behind the 8 ball. Well, I mean, it's not really even a question. You're still behind the 8 ball of programs that win. Ultimately, I think the poll to play for a winning program, if you are a 4 or 5 star kid in your mind, you're playing no matter where you go. So that's not an issue. So what Lovey has to sell, frankly, is his name, the coaching staff, and immediate playing time. But I think that immediate playing time, unfortunately, it will work for some. Hopefully it works for enough of them, because it will take a major jolt as far as next year's class is concerned. I don't know where this one's going. I probably placed too high of expectations on what he could do this year. But like you said, it's solid.
Yeah.
Next year could be great.
Lovey spoke a little bit about recruiting. He and his staff actually got on the road last week during the bye week.
I feel like we'll be in pretty good shape. Andrew is a great place. Not really. I mean, if
fade that out. That didn't work that well.
Okay.
But Lovey Smith basically said they got out on the road. They're selling playing time. I asked him if a 1-2 start is going to affect what they're trying to do, and he said, well, listen, now we can say, hey, look, you can help us. You can help us and you can play. So that's a sell that they're having right now, but he said we're still selling the same thing. And Lovey Smith, the way I would explain it is that Lovey Smith, because you got him, you aren't going to land a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. And I think that's what people thought was going to happen. I think that was kind of...
I did too.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you get Lovey Smith, all of a sudden you're going to get 4 and 5 star recruits. That doesn't happen. But what does happen is the door opens. The door is now open because you're Lovey Smith, because you coach for Lovey Smith. People who don't even know anything about Illinois football are interested in Illinois football, or at least they're like, let's learn more about them because Lovey Smith is the head coach now. So I think that's the biggest thing of what's happened. And once you get in the door, it's about winning it. But before, the door was closed to Illinois, where it's like, that kid isn't even considering you. You're Illinois, what's that? Who's Tim Beckman? Who's Bill Cubitt? Now you have a Lovey Smith entering that room. The door is going to be open, and you got a chance in those recruitments. And then you got to win a couple of them. You got to win a couple of those big ones.
I have to wonder...
And Larry Boyd down in St. Louis was an example of that.
Absolutely.
The door got open because you were Lovey Smith. Otherwise, he wasn't considering Illinois. He even said, I knew nothing about Illinois. I wasn't interested in Illinois. But then Lovey Smith came and talked to me. So that changed everything for that kid. And that's a recruitment you couldn't have won otherwise. So that's kind of the Lovey effect in recruiting. You need to land about 3 or 4 more of those kids in the next class.
After North Carolina and then after Western Michigan, I think especially after the North Carolina game, that was the first test of adversity, and it happened really quick, that game. All of a sudden, all these feel-good vibes evaporated. And yet, even in the postgame, listening to that, going to the Monday press conference and seeing him, it appears as if he knew full well coming in how long of a process this would be. In other words, if he actually thought, and he went through an entire training camp with this team and said the right things, but the way that he's acting now, kind of, he's still maintaining that calm demeanor, which you did not always see when things got bad in Chicago. He could get surly. And I know it's early in the year, but what it tells me is that he knew full well, even back in March, okay, it's going to be tough sledding. And it's as if, it's not as if he doesn't care about what this team does on the field this year. But I think he is smart enough to know, especially in college football, wait, this is all about what's going to happen after this.
They thought they were better than this. Now, they knew that they got this job because there were issues beforehand, right? I think they knew that a bowl was a nice goal, but it was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of people just chalking up Illinois to being a bowl team before the year because Lovey Smith's here and he's going to make everything better. I think they knew that wasn't going to happen. But I think a 1-2 start hurts. It does hurt them on the recruiting trail, especially when you haven't been competitive there. So they know that, hey, if we win more games, this becomes a little bit easier for us. If we show progress and show a good product or just show a competitive product on the field, that's a lot better for us. That hasn't happened. So I think this still matters what happens on the field, but ultimately, with Lovey Smith in charge, you have a much better chance in recruiting than you had before.
Coming up next hour, we're going to talk about another really good football team, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
With Kevin Fishbane from Pro Football Weekly.
Who do we take with the top 5 pick?
Well, the good news is we actually have that to look forward to.
Yes, that's what we're going to talk about with Kevin.
We'll talk about that on our top 5 TV shows. A list of sorts coming up on the Tay and J Show.
Clark Lindsay, the area's only life plan community, invites you to try something new during Champaign County's 3rd annual Active Aging Week, September 25th through October 2nd. Celebrate aging and active lifestyles through fun-filled, engaging community events, including bird watching, rock climbing, a comedy club, and much more. These events are free of charge for those who are 55 and better, thanks to support from local sponsors. More details available at clarklindsay.com. Clark Lindsay, your life, your plan, your community.
Hello, this is Shane Coulter of Country Arbors Nursery. Country Arbors Nursery is home with a giant $5 mum. You simply won't find a nicer mum anywhere for only $5. And this year we added a super giant mum in a 5-gallon pot that's only $15 if you buy 3 or more, half the price of other stores. But let's not forget what we do best, trees and shrubs. We're fully stocked with tens of thousands of large trees and shrubs to help you fill all your landscape needs. And all our trees are on sale. Take 20% off any tree you buy from Country Arbors this week. So come out to Country Arbors Nursery or go to countryarbors.com for more information and directions.
It's never too early to start thinking about next year, and it's that time again to start hunting for an apartment for fall 2017 and spring 2018. JSM has your back. Leasing for 2 and 3 bedrooms with JSM Apartments begins October 10th. Visit jsmliving.com for details. When you sign with JSM, you're included in their VIP program for discounts at local restaurants and stores. And JSM Apartments offers tons of apartments close to your sorority or fraternity house. Don't waste a minute on your hunt for a new apartment. Go to jsmliving.com.
The CU Oktoberfest is back on Saturday, October 1st. Join us for a full day of fun, starting with the inaugural Dirndl Dash 5K from 11 a.m. to 1 in Crystal Lake Park. Then head on over to the CU Oktoberfest from 3 p.m. to midnight in downtown Champaign. Once again, we'll have fantastic German and local beers, delicious German food, and great music from Die Musikmeisters, the Pokaholics, and the Bolzen Beer Band. Proceeds from the event benefit Developmental Services Center. That's the CU Oktoberfest on Saturday, October 1st. For more information, go to cuoktoberfest.org.
Live from the Habib BPC studios, this is WSJK Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Fox News Radio, I'm Kathleen Maloney.
Well, I really enjoyed it.
Donald Trump, after the first presidential debate last night, says he will participate in the next 2 against Hillary Clinton.
He made it very clear that he didn't prepare for that debate. You know, at one point he was kind of digging me for spending time off the campaign trail to get prepared. But just trying to keep track of everything he says took a lot of time and effort.
Clinton, speaking in North Carolina, obviously pleased with her debate performance. Preliminary figures show more than 81 million people tuned into that first presidential showdown, a record for debate watching.
The figures, which are not final, beat the 80.6 million record set by Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan in 1980, but are below Super Bowl numbers when the Saints beat the Colts 31-17. That attracted 106.5 million viewers.
Fox's Michelle Polino. Another attempt to avoid a government shutdown has failed in the Senate.
Democrats overwhelmingly voted against the short-term spending bill that keeps government open into early December, provides $1 billion for the federal Zika response, and another $500 million for flood relief in Louisiana and other states. But
there's no excuse for leaving the people of Flint, Michigan behind.
Democratic leader Harry Reid demands the city's water crisis be included. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate already passed a Flint plan in separate legislation, now being negotiated with House leaders.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Congress has until this Saturday to come up with a funding bill. Solid gains on Wall Street, the Dow climbing 133 points, S&P adding 13, NASDAQ up 48, technology and consumer stocks leading the rally. Microsoft gained 2%. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
If you run a business, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or construction, you know that commercial vans aren't one size fits all. Some vans are too small.
We're gonna have to make 2 trips.
Others too big.
Watch the top! Watch the top!
You need a van that's just right. That's where the Mercedes-Benz Metris comes in. It's the only available mid-size commercial van with unmatched safety features, a 2,500 2-pound payload, and enough cargo space to hold over 60 sheets of 4x8 drywall. It's big enough for the job, yet it's small enough to fit in your garage. It has a service interval of up to 15,000 miles and the highest residual value in its class, according to ALG. We won't give you a one-size-fits-all van. We'll do you one better, a commercial van that's sized just right for you. The 2016 midsize Metris. Mercedes-Benz. Vans born to run.
Civil rights leaders in Tulsa, Oklahoma are calling for a further investigation into the fatal police shooting of Terrence Crutcher.
This is a fight against, like they call my brother, a bad dude. This is a war against bad cops.
Tiffany Crutcher at a Day of Action rally for her brother. Unrest continues in Charlotte after the police shooting of Keith Scott. Some are demanding that the city's mayor and police chief resign, among other things.
They're calling on the cops to release all of the video from the shooting scene. They say that the community, not investigators, should be able to decide for themselves what video is relevant in this case. This includes dash cam video from the police cars, body cam video from the individual officers. But the Washington Post is reporting that the officer who fired the fatal shot did not activate his body camera until after that shot was fired.
Fox's Jonathan Siri in Charlotte also says Keith Scott had a record of violent crimes. Expect more terror attacks on American soil.
The so-called caliphate will be crushed. The challenge will be, through the fingers of that crush are going to come hundreds of very, very dangerous people. They will not all die on the battlefield in Syria and Iraq. There will be a terrorist diaspora sometime in the next 2 to 5 years like we've never seen before.
FBI Director James Comey, one of several national security leaders testifying before the Senate Homeland Security Committee after recent terror attacks in New York, New Jersey, and Minnesota. Tyson Foods is voluntarily recalling more than 130,000 pounds of chicken nuggets. This after some customers reported finding hard white plastic bits in some of them. Most of the 5-pound bags of cooked panko chicken nuggets were sold at Costco stores nationwide. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News Radio.
Here's your ESPN Radio 3-day forecast brought to you by Chief Bauer. Trust the AC and heating experts at Chief Bauer Service Experts to help keep you comfortable all year long. Call 866-EXPERTS or visit chiefbauer.com. Tonight, chance of rain, a low of 51. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, high 64, low of 53. Chance of rain again on Thursday, high 70, a low of 57. But enjoy it right now. Sunny, clear 75 in Champaign-Urbana.
Drive Time presented by Honda, BMW of Champaign. For a great selection of new and used vehicles, stop by their location at the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy or visit online at drivechampaign.com. Drive Time, of course, is where we recap the stories of the day.
Carper started off talking about Jose Fernandez again. I didn't even mention this story, but I saw on Twitter earlier today that 4 signed Jose Fernandez baseballs and his checkbook. I didn't know people still walk around with their checkbooks, but washed ashore. And I don't know why that makes it hit harder.
Yeah, it's eerie.
It's eerie. Yeah, when 4 baseballs that he signed that
it's
were
like
on
a black
that
box
boat.
from an airplane.
Yeah, it's just like that makes it hit harder. But I thought last night, how could you not tear up? I mean, we talked about how I'm not very spiritual, but when D. Gordon hits that home run, his first home run of the year. He says the farthest home run he's ever hit after he batted right-handed for the first strike, and then he had Jose Fernandez's helmet on, and then he turns over to the left side, his normal side, and hits a bomb in the first at-bat after Jose Fernandez dies for the Marlins. That's the thing of movies. And sports still gives us those moments, man. And that's part of the reason we love it.
Yeah, in baseball, it seems more often than most.
Script it.
There was one that you didn't bring it up in the first segment, but another time you watched sports and felt like maybe,
Yeah, the other time I thought of something like that was when Brian Robinson blocked the kick to beat the Packers. It would have been a game-winning field goal by the Packers the week Walter Payton died.
Yeah. Late 90s, I think. Yeah.
And you started thinking, and the Bears were terrible at that time. The Packers were great, right? Because Brett Favre. And the Bears won that game, and you're like, that was Walter. And like last night, you think that was Jose.
Yeah.
Like Jose had a moment. It's like the sixth man or Angels in the outfield or something.
I'm trying to think of another one that I can remember with either my teams or just something that's happened in general. And that goes to show you the rarity of something like this. I mean,
Brett Favre when his dad died.
Yeah.
That Monday night game.
Yeah.
Was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, I'm skeptical of whatever we have in the afternoon. None of us know, right? We all believe whatever we want to believe, but that's where it makes it go, there's something out there. Like, there's something out there for us.
Yeah, and this is a very impactful death for baseball, for professional sports in general, because of the story that goes along with Jose Fernandez, the Cuban connection, which played so big down there in Miami with so much Cuban heritage that they have. And just the pregnant girlfriend. I mean, all these things that make a tragic story that would have been tragic no matter what, all the more so.
Hopefully he's remembered for how much he loved the sport. And that love for the sport came from his upbringing in Cuba, the oppression he had, the hard upbringing, getting arrested, trying to defect 4 times. He got to America and enjoyed the game he gets to play for a living. And I hope it's a reminder to people that think people shouldn't have fun playing baseball, that it's a game. And it's meant to be enjoyed, especially by some of these guys who come from such squalor or oppression like he does. So I hope that is what the memory of Jose Fernandez is, the joy. Like, he was a kid out there, and, like we all were at some point.
And judging by the initial reaction and the reaction we still have a couple days afterwards, his legacy will be exactly what you said, because that was immediately what came out in the immediate reaction.
Great night for the Cubs as they beat the Pirates 12-2. They get their 100th victory of the season, and though it doesn't mean anything for a World Series, Carp, just another great moment for them. And Kyle Hendricks now with a sub-2 ERA. He's going to end the year with a 1.99 ERA.
Cy Young. Oh, wait. Max Scherzer. Probably.
Scherzer might win. I mean, we talked about wins above replacement leaders for pitchers. 1, Clayton Kershaw, 6.5, and he's pitched in 20 games. Yeah. Number 2 is Jose Fernandez at 6.2. Then you get to Scherzer, Syndergaard, those guys.
Real quick, what is Kershaw's status going forward?
He's pitching.
Okay.
And he pitched well in his last game. So I was going to ask you this earlier in the show, and I didn't. If you're the Cubs, things are kind of lining up for you.
It is.
In the National League, when you think about the Giants, how poorly they're playing. The Cardinals didn't even show up last night against the Reds, and Waka and Garcia both get killed 15-2. You worry about the Cardinal factor, you worry about the Giant factor, but those teams are playing really poorly.
Yeah.
The Mets are beat up. They keep winning, I'll give them credit, but that rotation is nowhere near as scary as it was before.
Even if all teams were healthy and playing well, the Cubs are still the best team. So now that you're handicapping the field even more so, whether it be injuries or just really inconsistent play, anything can happen in a 5-game series. I really do feel as if the Cubs can just get through that. The 5-game series is the big obstacle for many because you still have that much more of an element of chance. You get that in a 7-game series, but when a team only needs to win 3 out of 5, you can get some fluky things.
What would be the best series, just from a national perspective? Would it be Mets or Cardinals in the first, or Giants?
Nationally, probably Mets.
Mets?
Because of the Chicago, New York.
Then Dodgers?
For the NL, that'd be CS, though,
NLCS, yeah. Would it be the Dodgers then, and then the Red Sox?
Yeah.
All Theo. The Red Sox are the one team that I think has the talent to go just toe-to-toe with the Cubs. Like, anything can happen in baseball, but you feel like they can match up as well, except for the pitching staff.
The pitching is it.
The bullpen of the Red Sox are pretty good. That lineup is probably just as good as the Cubs, even though sounds ridiculous. Go to that Red Sox lineup and look at it. But that's the one team I feel, even though the Texas Rangers have been phenomenal this year.
That's what's going to happen.
But that would probably
Red
be
Sox Cubs.
I mean, you'd have New York, L.A., Boston.
That'd be a good October for Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball would really enjoy that. We also talked about Illinois and Lovie Smith, who supports his players to be activists, to be outspoken about things they believe in. He said as long as they know what they believe in. And, he wants them to vote in politics. He wants them to pick a candidate and support them as long as he knows what those candidates stand for.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think it's great to give players that responsibility and to encourage them to be active in their communities and to their countries and all that. So I think that's the right stance to take when some coaches would rather just kind of their players shut up because this doesn't help us as a team.
Wasn't Dabo from Clemson? Didn't he have something came out?
Dabo was really... Go look it up. It's really good.
Okay.
What he said. I thought he said some really interesting things, and I think it hit home with a lot of people. But there are some coaches who'd probably rather have the players say nothing. Hey, don't talk about this. Don't take a knee during the national anthem. And what's interesting is Illinois hasn't been out on the field yet for a national anthem. They won't at Nebraska, but they will at Rutgers. It will be interesting to see if any players put a fist in the air.
But not at home against Purdue, just because they aren't on the field.
No, they aren't on the field at home during the national anthem.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not really controversial to say if you have an opinion, and as Lovie said, preferably an informed one, that, if you feel compelled to share it.
I just love that that's what he said.
Yeah.
Because some coaches would rather their players just not say anything. But this is more than just about your football team, right? I like that Lovey has that teacher, kind of a parental play with his.
He's always had the player's coach tag alongside him, but this
he's trying to grow some men, right?
Well, yeah, and I know that gets bandied about a lot, and you just say, well, he's a leader of men, and that's often what you hear about a coach, even if it's not always true.
Yeah.
But I think Lovey fits the bill, and you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old guys that they're developing their thoughts, their opinions, how they view the world, and I think it's important to, if they are compelled to do so, they are well within their rights to express their views.
We also broke down the top 100. Rolling Stone voted on their top 100 TV shows of all time. In a little bit, we're going to give our top 5 TV shows of all time. You, me, Austin, and James, our 2 interns back there. So we'll do that. But biggest shockers on the list for me, it was 4 Mad Men. I think Mad Men is pretty high, and I like that show. Number 1 was The Sopranos. Number 2 was The Wire. Number 3, Breaking Bad.
South Park lower than I thought because they're the critics' darlings. Yeah. All of the critics love South Park. So at 33, with as relevant as they still are in season 20, that surprised me.
Twilight Zone, an oldie at number 7.
That doesn't surprise me. That one is held up remarkably
Seinfeld
well.
5, Simpsons 6.
Yeah, so I think they did a pretty admirable job. I wasn't into Friends. I'm not going to put top 25.
That was number 26. Goofy. Yeah. I mean, it's entertaining, but I think it's kind of like Fall Out Boy. Friends is kind of like Fall Out Boy, and that it has some redeeming qualities. But
it's just fluff.
It's fluff that's made for the masses.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And Smelly Cat was pretty funny.
Right.
I'll give Phoebe credit for that.
It was just kind of made for the masses. So we'll give our favorite 5 TV shows coming up. But that's Drive Time, brought to you by Honda BMW of Champaign.
Yeah, just see them in the corner of Neal and Burwash in Savoy, or visit online at drivechampagne.com. Up next, top 5 TV shows and Bears talk. Fine. It is the Tay and J Show.
Can't find the Cubs on TV? No problem. Listen to them on our sister station, Sunny 95.3. Champaign-Urbana's home for soft rock favorites from then and now, and Cubs baseball.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat. Here's Sarah Spain.
The good, the bad, and the ugly in a shootout in New Orleans as the Falcons bested the Saints 45-32 on Monday Night Football. The Atlanta offense was good once again, despite little to no production from star wideout Julio Jones. Jones didn't catch a single pass in the first half, and yet his team still put up 28 points before the break. He finished with just 1 catch for 16 yards. No Jones, no problem, at least Monday night. Matt Ryan spread the ball around to 7 different targets other than Jones in the first half alone. He completed 20 of 30 passes for 2 touchdowns and 240 yards for a passer rating of 113.2. The ground game was a team effort once again, as Devontae Freeman rushed for 154 yards and a touchdown. Tevin Coleman only had 42 total yards, but he scored 3 touchdowns on the night, bullying his way into the end zone with short bursts of power. Another big game from the offense sends the Falcons to 2-1. That's the good news. I'll tell you the bad and the ugly after this.
Sometimes kickoff comes early. At Hampton by Hilton, that's when they run the option. Take your pick of free hot breakfast in the hotel or breakfast on the run bags to go. Either way, you'll be fueled up to cheer on your team because on game day, tailgate waits for no fan. So follow your favorite college football team on the road all season long. With Hampton by Hilton's friendly, helpful people at over 2,000 locations, you've got a winning combination for a memorable season. Book your football getaway today at Hampton.com for a guaranteed discount.
Hey, Golick, I'm about to make you hungry.
Not really sure I like where this is heading, Greenie.
Well, right now, GNC has buy 3, get 1 free on all protein bars.
I'm going to need a little bit more than that.
Leading off, GNC's got awesome tasting bars. Batting second, they have great brands like Quest. Up third, insane exclusive flavors like Total Lean Vanilla Birthday Cake.
Sounds like I'm about to clean up.
I thought you'd say that. They've got gluten-free and vegan bars, too.
Excellent. So I can buy 3, eat 3, and get 1 free.
That's exactly right, Golick. See you at GNC.
The Falcons have scored 30-plus points in both their wins this season, and they've needed to because their defense is bad. Their opponents are averaging 28 points a game so far this year. On Monday night, the Saints amassed 474 yards, including 7 plays of 24-plus yards. There was one bright spot on defense, though, as Deion Jones returned an interception 90 yards for a score. Falcons are going to need more of that and continued excellence from their offense to stay on top in the NFC South. As for the ugly, how about that 0-3 Saints record? Drew Brees has thrown 8 touchdowns and only 1 interception in 3 games, but he's not enough. The Saints defense is 31st in points and yards surrendered, 28th in first downs given up and yards per attempt, and 25th against the pass. Could be a long season down in New Orleans. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Sarah Spain.
Inman Place offers the finest senior living in the region. This historical landmark in downtown Champaign has been newly renovated with classic elegance and modern amenities for the lifestyle you deserve. Inman Place will grant you the independence that you're looking for, together with all the services that you require. Choose Inman Place as your home, and you'll receive $1,000 in moving expenses. Set up an appointment today by calling 352-7017. That's 352-7017, or visit online at inmanplace.com.
Planet Fitness Urbana, now opened on Philo Road. Join now for $1 down, $10 a month. Offer expires this Friday, September 30th. Planet Fitness, $1 down, $10 a month, ending this Friday. Planet Fitness Urbana, brand new Philo Road location, the judgment-free zone.
We know how much you love your car. Protect your ride with AutoGuard from Pekin Insurance and your local independent agency. AutoGuard picks up where other policies fall short, offering trip interruption coverage, key replacement, tire protection, accidental airbag deployment coverage, and more. All for just $20 per year per vehicle. Call your local Pekin Insurance agent or visit www.pekininsurance.com to put their beyond the expected services to work for you with AutoGuard.
Check out the new Honda BMW of Champaign, formerly Twin City Honda BMW and still located in Savoy. These guys are crazy for used vehicles. Truckloads of pre-owned vehicles, 25 to 50% off the price of a similar new model. And not just Hondas and BMWs, cars, pickup trucks, and SUVs of all makes. Financing options on used cars as low as 1.9%. Just drive by Honda BMW of Champaign and you'll see from the street that this is a new dealership. Honda BMW of Champaign, online at drivechampaign.com. Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday morning 7 to 9 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter with Jeremy Warner.
Want to remind everybody, join us next Tuesday, October 4th, at Jupiter's The Crossing in their brand new private party room. We're having Tay and J Listener Appreciation Show. Carp is really cool. I think you set this up. We're having free appetizers available, $1.50 Miller Lite drafts, $1.50 PBR bottles. Sorry, Lon, no Bud Light.
Yeah.
Plus, like every Tuesday at Jupiter's The Crossing, get a half price large pizza. So come bring your family. It's Tuesday, October 4th at Jupiter's The Crossing in their new private party room. It's the Tay and J Listener Appreciation Show. If you would, just text us your name and email address at 359-2255. That's 359-2255, and we'll send you information for the event. You can still come on out if you don't do that, but if you could, we were trying to get a head count. Space is limited, but text us your name and email address at 359-2255.
It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter with Jeremy Warner. And a quick little text from the text line, Alex in Urbana. We were talking about those moments in sports that kind of transcend. In other words, you mentioned how, I'm not a big spiritual kind of guy, but there are certain moments where something had to have been at play, right? And Alex in Urbana mentions, let's see here, Central basketball. 3-quarter court buzzer beater, first Big 12 game after Wayne McClain passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Come
is...
on.
Right.
You can't script that stuff.
No.
That's what's phenomenal. Thanks for that text, Alex. We appreciate that. All right, we did break down the top 100 Rolling Stone TV shows. So I want each of us here at the Tay and J Show, which is Mike Carpenter, Jeremy Warner, Austin Berkland, James Woodard, to give our favorite 5 TV shows. Doesn't have to be the best, doesn't have to be critically acclaimed, just your favorite TV shows. We'll start with Austin Berkland.
All right, guys. My number 1 is... I'll start with 5.
Yeah, go 5, man.
Okay, here we go.
Number 5 is Newsroom. I love season 1 with how they dealt with the oil spill and everything from BP. It was phenomenal.
Sorkin done. Loved the first season of the Newsroom. Thought it trailed off after that. I thought the Newsroom, what it could have been, Carp, is kind of like South Park on a larger scale.
Yeah, each season has a narrative thread based on a topical.
What happened on the last year.
Yeah.
They kind of went away from that.
Yeah.
But still, I love Newsroom, man.
Number 4, Game of Thrones. Just all the different motives of each character. Just phenomenal. Number 3, House of Cards. I'm a big political buff.
Yeah.
So the thing about House of Cards that just really intrigues me is how accurate it almost is today with the power trip of the Clintons with the Underwoods.
It's based on the Clintons, right?
Yes, yeah.
So if anybody wants to watch that, I love it. It's so entertaining. You got to suspend your reality a little bit with some of it.
Yeah, you know that Underwoods can't get away with all that
right.
in the real world, but
get away with
it is fun. Number 2, The Office. It just makes me laugh every single time I watch it. I know after Steve Carell left that it trailed off, but I just thought it picked right back up when Andy Bernard was the manager. And number 1, The West Wing. Again, political buff. And,
you're a Sorkin guy.
Yeah, and Aaron Sorkin together. It just was phenomenal seeing all the different things that the White House was going through and just learning about each staff member. It was really unique.
It's like if there was a perfect president.
Yeah, almost perfect.
almost perfect. So good list, awesome. Appreciate that. Carp, let's go with your list before we get to James.
Okay, a couple of quick honorable mentions, if I may. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's a dark one, right? Darker comedy?
It is dark, but it's laugh out loud. I mean, if it matches your sense of humor, then you'd love it. South Park. 2 honorable mentions right there. Number 5, The Wire. Number
3
4,
episodes in, I hear it's going to be my top 3.
Seasons 3 and 4 especially. I even like season 2. Number 4, Breaking Bad.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, great show. A little bit over the top, but I like how it embraced that.
I mean, at some points it feels like almost overacting, but it's still great.
Right. And by the way, another honorable mention, and it's got to get a few more seasons under its belt. I think Better Call Saul's on a really good track.
It's really good.
Number 3, Seinfeld.
Can't argue.
Yeah. Number 2, The Simpsons.
They're on my list.
You find the best Simpsons episode. To me, it's Last Exit to Springfield, but you can pick about 10
Which one is that?
That's Lisa Needs Braces. Dental Plan. Lisa Needs Braces.
My favorite is the play date with Ralphie.
Oh.
It's got so many one-liners.
So I'm going Simpsons number 2, and I need to agree with Rolling Stone. It's my favorite show of all time, The Sopranos. Number 1. It's phenomenal. If you haven't checked it out, you only need to spend 69 hours of your life. That's it.
So Carp TV buff, Austin TV buff. James Woodard, not as much of a TV buff. So I'm interested what your top 5 is.
Yeah, so my problem is I like a lot of half of a show.
Okay.
Like first 3 seasons of True Blood. Really enjoyed it. It was kind of a cool concept. And then they were like, by the way, there's werewolves and fairies and aliens. And I was like, all right, I think I'm done here.
Jump the shark.
Yeah, very early, and so my 5th, I had to go back a little bit, was Futurama.
Ooh,
which was
good call.
Maybe one of the first shows I watched every single episode of.
Wow.
All right.
And then Deadwood.
I need to see this. I love Westerns.
Deadwood was good. Timothy Olyphant early. The Ian McShane, really, really good as Al Swearinger. Good show. Last Week Tonight.
Okay, it is fantastic.
It's taken over the Daily Show as the top.
John Oliver, maybe, and no offense to Stephen Colbert, because I loved him when he was on the Daily Show. Maybe the best offshoot of
absolutely.
Stewart.
I think and he's turned into his group good journalists.
Yes, the stuff is legitimate. It's not just funny skits.
Yeah.
There's legitimate stuff.
Yeah.
After that, Game of Thrones, which I like because there aren't any good guys. Everybody's just kind of a different bad guy.
Yes, I like that.
It's just it's for themselves. There is no benevolence.
Everybody's terrible
involved. Yeah. And I like that whole aspect where you don't have to have the hero.
I guess Jon Snow's kind of the hero.
Sort of, but
kind of makes you hate him that he's so pure, though.
And if you're one of those who looks into any of the fan theories and stuff like that, and whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
Number 1.
Number 1, and this goes into my canceled too early list, and is probably why I like it so much, is Firefly.
Okay.
What's Firefly?
Really?
I've heard of this, yeah.
So early-ish 2000s. It was on Fox.
Yeah.
And it's like a space western. It's Joss Whedon, so it's the guy who did
Avengers.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay. He also, he did other things. He wrote Toy Story. He's all over the place.
Nice.
But it only lasted a season, and Fox really screwed it up, showed the episodes out of order. So the pilot episode didn't air first, it aired second. And weird stuff, and had a huge cult following. And then they canceled it after 1 season.
No.
So they made the movie Serenity after it, which I refuse to buy because to me it signals the end.
Okay. All right. Firefly. I like the deep cuts.
Here's my top 5. Austin influenced me. I want The Office 5. Because I watch it all the time. They're Breaking Bad's a better show, right? But The Office, I go back and watch all the time. My wife and I will watch seasons 2 through 4 every year. They're just great comedy, Great romance involved in that as well. Number 4, Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Coach Taylor, Mrs. Taylor. Like, you think of it as a teen
Mrs. Taylor.
You think of it as a teen show, but I think everybody, even if you don't like football, will like that show.
Yep.
The characters you care about so much. And it did a transition to, like, they actually graduated these kids, like, on time. They didn't keep them around for, like, 8 years like Saved by the Bell did. They actually graduated, had a new crop, and it was even better. Like, the second crop of kids in it was even better.
How many seasons did it go?
5. Michael B. Jordan, big part of that. Guy who played Creed.
And by the way, is he in The Wire yet?
Yes, he's been there already.
Okay,
and Michael B. Jordan, heck of a career.
No kidding, right?
3, Simpsons.
Yep.
Best animated show ever.
Seinfeld's very quotable.
Simpsons.
To me, The Simpsons outweighs it.
I still do Simpsons quotes to this day. 2, Game of Thrones. You guys said it. I mean, I don't think there's ever been something bigger on television than Game of Thrones, and just the fantasy aspect, the politics behind it's all great. Best thing I've ever seen on TV, movies, Band of Brothers.
Ooh, okay.
Best thing I've ever seen on TV, film, whatever it is. I've said it so many times on this show, but go watch it if you've never seen Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Best thing I've ever seen.
Another thing on HBO I need to check out. All
HBO,
that good HBO.
man.
The on-demand stuff. They need to get a new show to be alongside Game of Thrones, but they've had a pretty good run.
Lante just tweeted, can someone pick Prison Break?
Well, just for the intro.
How many prisons did they break out of?
Viewer discretion is advised.
Did they break out of like 4 prisons? And I think they're rebooting that too.
Yeah.
Like Fox rebooted X-Files.
Well, they also rebooted Lethal Weapon as a TV show with Damon Wayans. And I loved, the initial previews were during that Bears-Texans game. So as that game went on, I got progressively angrier. Yeah. And every time that ad came on, it was Damon Wayans and some guy whose name you don't know, but they expect you to know it. It's like Tim Chetherington.
Introduce Tim Chetherington.
Who is that?
A good-looking hunk.
But man, it looks awful.
It does.
It's terrible.
All right, coming up next, we'll talk a little Bears. Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com. Who are they going to take with their top 3 pick in the draft?
It is the Tay and J Show.
This is Chuck Lee with Provident Financial Group. Are you getting the attention you deserve from your broker? When you partner with Provident, you get an advisor who stays focused on you and your family. We work for you. Contact us today to schedule a consultation. Securities advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network. Find us online at ProvidentFinancialGroupLLC.com.
Partnerships built on trust.
Member FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Check out the new Honda BMW of Champaign, formerly Twin City Honda BMW, and still located in Savoy. These guys are crazy for used vehicles. Truckloads of pre-owned vehicles, 25 to 50% off the price of a similar new model. And not just Hondas and BMWs, cars, pickup trucks, and SUVs of all makes. Financing options on used cars as low as 1.9%. Just drive by Honda BMW of Champaign and you'll see from the street that this is a new dealership. Honda BMW of Champaign, online at drivechampaign.com.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Illinois and the Rantoul Area Chamber of Commerce invite you to come out and join our Run for Your Life Halloween 5K on Saturday, October 1st. All participants are encouraged to dress up in costumes with prizes awarded, plus trick-or-treat at the end of the 5K for participating children. This event will begin at 10 a.m. at the Forum Fitness Center in Rantoul. After the race, enjoy the Fall Fest in downtown Rantoul. All proceeds help Big Brothers Big Sisters to support caring children facing adversity, professional one-to-one mentoring relationships. We hope to see you there. Visit bbbscil.org for details.
Buffalo Wild Wings is always on the lookout for the next greatest sauce, and just in time for football, they found another one. Introducing Music City Fire, a new take on Nashville hot sauce. It's a spicy blend of cayenne, paprika, garlic, and more. Made for wings and made to be eaten while watching football. And of course, don't forget about B-Dub's online ordering. It's simple. Order online and pick up at your nearest location. It's delicious. They've got everything from shareables to their famous wings. So don't settle for the same old thing. Go to BuffaloWildWings.com today. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings. Beer. Sports.
Hi, my name is Fred Wakefield. I'm a former Fighting Illini football player, 8-year NFL veteran, and now a graduate of the University of Illinois MBA program. I decided to get MBA because before I was ever a professional athlete, I was a student and someone wanting to really go into the business world. The best part about the MBA experience with the University of Illinois was the people involved in the program. professors who were absolutely outstanding, fellow students who I still lean on a regular basis. I would definitely recommend Illinois' MBA program. Talked to a few different people about it. One guy actually played in the NFL for a number of years and called and asked about it. And I know that it's a program that continues to grow. I just think it's made a world of difference for me, and it will continue to as I progress through life and business. My University of Illinois MBA has allowed me not just the confidence, but also the tools to be able to move forward and continue to grow in business.
Earn your professional MBA 2 nights a week. Find out more at professionalmba.illinois.edu. That's professionalmba.illinois.edu.
I'm Austin Berkland, and this is your 5:30 Sports Center update. Well, Illinois football opens up Big Ten play as a 21-point underdog on Saturday against the Cornhuskers in Lincoln, Nebraska at 2:30 on ESPN2. In light of national anthem protests, Illini coach Lovie Smith wants players involved in their country's issues.
This is what I tell our team as a whole. I want them to be involved in their community and what's going on in their world. Politics. I want them to be involved in politics. I like for them to support a candidate and just know the reasons why you're supporting them. And be vocal about it. Things they don't like, I like for them to say that. And if there's something and if you remain quiet, that's saying that you agree with what is being said. And if there's something someone feels strongly about, I assume they will let everyone know that.
The Cardinals are still in battle for a wild card race, but it took a huge hit last night when they fell to the Reds 15-2. Jaime Garcia made it through one inning, giving up 4 hits, with 2 of those hits being solo home runs. Michael Wacha came in relief and wasn't much relief, surrendering 7 more runs in just 2 2/3 innings. After the loss, they remain 1 game out of the second wildcard spot after the Mets loss to the Marlins. The Cardinals look to correct course tonight in the second game of the series against the Reds. On the mound is Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals and Robert Stevenson for the Reds. Hear the game on our sister station, ESPN-CU. Pregame starts at 6:20. Bears defensive back Kyle Fuller has been placed on the IR list with a knee injury, NFL Network reporter Ian Rappaport reports. The Cubs notched their 100th victory with a 12-2 beatdown of the NL Central rival Pittsburgh Pirates. Javi Baez hit its grand slam and drove in 6 RBIs for the Cubs. It's Kyle Hendricks versus Vogelsong tonight here on our sister station Sunny 95.3 at 6:05. And that, my friends, is the update.
This segment of the Tay and J Show brought to you by the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency. Looking for auto, boat, or homeowner's insurance? Planning for retirement, or maybe starting to think about college savings for the kids? If you answered yes to any of those questions, stop in and visit the folks at the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency in Urbana. You can give them a call, 344-1900. That's the Brian Hansen State Farm Agency at 344-1900.
It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter in for Lon Tay with Jeremy Warner. Quick reminder, Thursday from 3 to 5:15, we will be live at Bunny's Tavern. There is a Cardinals game early that night, but still get a good 2 hours in, hopefully in the beer garden at Bunny's Tavern. And next Tuesday, we'll be at Jupiter's of the Crossing for a Tay and J listener appreciation show. Free appetizers, drinks specials, pizza specials, a lot of fun. So 2 upcoming remotes for you to know about.
Let's get to the Jupiters at the Crossing phone line. Talk a little Bears with our buddy Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com. Bears fans will always have 85, but that was before I was alive. When will the Bears be better than you? Sick of the Packers, so what should we do? Time to Fishbane. We can't complain.
Yeah, we have plenty to complain about, actually.
He's Kevin Fishbane, ProFootballWeekly.com. Follow him on Twitter, at KFishbane. Kevin, I think your money's better spent probably going to Death Valley and watching Deshaun Watson. I think Bears fans are tuned out and looking forward to the draft in April.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if for Bears fans, it's a good time because, you know, you can look forward to the draft and make a very legitimate argument. This is the year to draft a quarterback in the first round, too. So, you know, since Jay Cutler got here in 2009, Bears fans haven't had – I mean, we've always talked about the Bears drafting a quarterback, but this is really going to be the first year you could say, okay, it makes a ton of sense in the world to go ahead and take one in the first round, especially the way they're playing. So, yeah, flip on some Deshaun Watson tape, go watch some Notre Dame, go check out Deshaun Kaiser. You know, if you don't want to watch Brian Hoyer on Sunday, you know, flip on whatever Deshaun Watson did on Saturday.
Yeah, how did we get here, Kevin? Because obviously this new organization, this new regime took over, a franchise with a lot of issues on the roster. But how did we get to where we thought they were going to take a step forward maybe in year two to where they're going to be one of the worst teams in all of football?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, Jeremy. I mean, seeing some of the power rankings that have come out that have had the Bears at 32, and you really can't blame them. I said last week when previewing Bears-Cowboys, I go, the Cowboys aren't very good on defense. Dak Prescott is still a rookie. It's still Vic Fangio. The Bears are going to at least find a way to keep it close. And then they get the doors blown off them in the first half. I know it's a road game, but that was something. And what really struck me was last year they went to Seattle with Jimmy Clausen and with Alshon Jeffrey out of the game. And they were only down 6-0 at halftime at that game. I mean, and I went back and looked at it. They had the ball for 18 minutes of that first half against Seattle last year. And they could barely hold on to the ball in Dallas against a much worse Cowboys defense. I know they're different teams, but that really was kind of surprising to me that they played that poorly in a similar situation that they faced last year. So it's really, I mean, this is going on the coaches just as much as all the injuries and the lack of talent now. And that's something I didn't really expect to say at this point of the season.
Yeah, it just seems to be a disconnect between what Ryan Pace was doing, maybe what John Fox would want. I don't know what their relationship is like or the nature of their relationship, but it's weird to think, though, Kevin, that last year there was that Sunday home game against Denver where legitimately, if the Bears would have won that, there would have been, mild playoff chances, at least for a wild card slot or something like that. And it really felt like there was some forward momentum going. And then in the first 3 weeks, you lose to Brock Osweiler, Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott in pretty poor fashion. It's just kind of mind-blowing that a guy like John Fox and that coaching staff would be so, just look outclassed in every single game.
Yeah, it's a good point, too, about Denver. And you can even look to the fact that they were a Robbie field goal miss away from beating both San Francisco and Washington last year. Now, you can flip those around. I mean, their wins over San Diego, Kansas City, and Oakland were pretty close games. So there's a lot of kind of tinkering you could do when you look back at that. But the main theme was they were competitive in all those games last year. And now, I was thinking about this today, guys. You take the second half against Philadelphia and the first half against Dallas. You combine that, and the Bears lose a four-quarter game 44-10. That's a Mark Trestman 2014 type of result. You don't expect that with John Fox and Vic Fangio at the helm, regardless of who's on the sideline. And look around the league. All these teams are dealing with injuries. John Fox will be the first one to tell you that injuries happen to every NFL team. They happen all the time. Yet the Bears haven't been able to, withstand them in the last, game and a half. And they got off to a pretty poor start in Philadelphia even while they were healthy. So it's really kind of spun away from them in a hurry. And what I'm curious to see this week is, are we going to see some desperation? Because there was no sense of urgency in Dallas until probably the third quarter when they started playing a little better. Are we going to see that on Sunday in front of what will be probably a pretty bored home crowd? And guys, I tell you what, with Cubs fever hitting, in the next couple of weeks, I'm really looking forward to seeing the TV ratings on October 20th. If the Cubs are in an NLCS Game 5, the same night the Bears are on TV playing the Packers, I would love to know how many people in Chicago are actually going to be watching that Bears-Packers game if the Bears don't win the next, at least 2 out of the next 3.
Kevin, what's more interesting is the players we kind of want to see what the future of this team is going to be. Like, a lot of them are injured. I mean, Eddie Goldman isn't there. Kyle Fuller is out right now. Jeremy Langford. I'm glad we're going to see Jordan Howard, and I'm glad Kevin White's going to be a bigger part of this offense, hopefully. And it's Kevin White and Leonard Floyd. There's a lot of pressure on Ryan Pace for those guys to be good because they cut a lot of talent. They let a lot of talent go. And even though some of these mid-rounders look solid contributors, we got to see some things out of those guys the rest of the year because those are the two he's put a lot into.
Yeah, and that's kind of what is also kind of tough for Bears fans when you're looking at hope, because you're not able to watch some of these guys at the really high level that you're kind of hoping. So Kevin White showed that flash against Dallas. Maybe he picks up on that. Maybe that was the confidence he needs to move forward and put together a nice game against a pretty weak Detroit secondary this week. Maybe Leonard Floyd takes advantage of Detroit offensive tackles that are far from the best in the league and makes some plays in the backfield. Maybe we'll see more of Nick Kwiatkowski. Saw a little glimpse of him before they moved to Jonathan Anderson in the second half. That's what you got to focus on, because no one expected this team to make the playoffs. But if you finish the 2016 season and Ryan Pace's draft picks, Goldman, Floyd, White, Amos, Langford, the Cody Whitehair, I think, has been really good so far through 3 games. If those guys played really well, then you go into 2017 and you're feeling pretty good about what the Bears can do next year. So, but now, one of the problems too, guys, is when you're missing starting players, that has an impact on other players on the roster. Not having Jay Cutler is potentially going to impact Kevin White. Now, it didn't impact him negatively on Sunday, so we'll see if that continues. But, not having Eddie Goldman there is going to make things more difficult for guys behind him to make some plays. Not having Eddie Goldman next to Jonathan Bullard might, hurt Jonathan Bullard. So, there's still a lot of things to kind of work through. But, the focus has to be on the young guys at this point.
I look at next year's team and really just the Pace-Fox combination here. And earlier we were talking about what a quarterback-laden draft that it's going to be for the Bears when they choose next April. But I'm thinking, too, that it would probably behoove Ryan Pace to get a quarterback, because if you do bring in a first-year quarterback and you pin your franchise's hopes on him, it seems like it would be an odd choice then to fire the GM and the coach just 1 year into it. In other words, it might even buy them some time.
Yeah, well, Jeff Fisher will tell you guys how great it is to have a rookie quarterback around when it comes to job security. Just keep the number 1 pick on the bench, and then you don't have to worry about losing your job. That's going to be something, because I'm trying to think when John, actually it didn't go so well the last time John Fox had to develop a rookie quarterback. His name was Jimmy Clausen in 2010 in Carolina. So, but that's something that Ryan Pace said when he was introduced back in January of 2015, that, he understands the importance of drafting a quarterback. I always knew that at some point he was going to draft the guy that he thought was the guy of the future. There were certainly some opportunities in this draft, but he didn't find anybody he liked. At least that was the way that I read it. And he's going to have opportunities in the next draft and more reason to go find that guy after seeing what is happening around the league this year in terms of young quarterbacks playing well. But, you could... the McCaskies could say, hey, this season you flush it. It was a terrible season, but now we're going to give these guys the opportunity to bring in their quarterback. But that could also struggle guys too, because you draft a quarterback in the first round, and if he's not good after 2 years or whatever, then there goes your whole head coach and GM, and you got to start all over again. That's the way the NFL is, and the hit rate on quarterbacks is not the cleanest. So you're certainly always going to be taking a risk when you're looking at some of those guys. But that is something that maybe John Fox and Ryan Pace can look forward to as well as they go through the rest of the season.
Kevin Fishbane, I know what it's like to cover slogs of seasons, and I know you are as well. But keep up the good work. Everybody follow him on Twitter at KFishbane. Appreciate the time, Kevin.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Mike's Mike coming up next.
Yeah, you got to dip out to practice.
I do.
Good audio tomorrow, though, for the Tay and J Show. We'll be back. Mike's Mike. If you have any other questions, 217-359-2255 for the Cheap Hour text line. We'll be back. It's the Tay and J Show.
You are warmly invited to attend the 10th Annual Disability Resource Expo on Saturday, October 15th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Fluid Event Center, 601 North Country Fair Drive in Champaign. This free, family-friendly event is open to the entire community and features nearly 100 exhibitors, plus a variety of specialized entertainment, door prizes, local artisans, and children's activities. For more information, please call 367-5703 or go to disabilityresourceexpo.org.
Hi, this is Ashley Morgan, inviting you to join in on the fun at the Champaign County Humane Society's annual dinner auction, The Fur Ball, coming up on Friday, October 7th at the Hilton Garden Inn. This special evening features fabulous silent and exciting live auction items, plus the chance to win stunning jewelry from Champaign Jewelers and $500 cash from Napleton's Auto Park. And for the first time, we're having a vacation raffle. Only 100 tickets will be sold, and the winner gets to choose from a trip to one of 4 destinations: Punta Cana, Dominican Republic; Whistler, British Columbia; San Francisco, Sonoma Sonoma Valley, or the Monterey Peninsula. The odds are in your favor. Don't let this chance to help the homeless animals of Champaign County pass you by. To purchase tickets to the Fur Ball or for the raffle, visit cuhumane.org or call 344-7297. Winner need not be present to win the raffle. The 2016 Fur Ball, Friday, October 7th at Hilton Garden Inn, is sponsored in part by this station's parent company, Stevie J Broadcasting.
You already know Houlihan's Restaurant and Bar at the iHotel is a great restaurant, but don't forget about the bar. Fantastic drink specials and mouth-watering menu items from snacks to full meals, a nice selection of draft, craft, and domestic beers, and just about any cocktail you can imagine. Watch a game with multiple flat screens on all sides of the bar, or grab some tables and make it a party. Drink specials daily, plus Houlihan's is now serving a delicious hot breakfast 7 days a week. Houlihan's at the iHotel. Check them out at the corner of 1st Street and St. Mary's Road, just south of the State Farm Center.
Attention football fans, get your season tickets now to catch the Bloomington Edge indoor football team's 12th season for just $60. It's the most affordable family-friendly entertainment in the area. All Bloomington Edge season ticket holders receive tickets to 6 games, plus a preseason game and invitations to the most exclusive Bloomington Edge events. Buy your season tickets now for just $60 at bloomingtonedge.net or by calling the Edge offices at 484-840-EDGE.
Make elegance a way of life at the Windsor of Savoy. Relax in private, spacious apartments, savor chef-prepared meals, and enjoy the ease of chauffeured transportation. Retirement is sweeter when it's shared with friends, and at the Windsor of Savoy, you'll be in good company. You'll come to think of our caring staff as part of the family. Worry less and enjoy life more. Independent and assisted living at the Windsor of Savoy. Call 217-351-1437 and schedule a tour today.
Join Health Alliance and Clark Lindsay as we wrap up Active Aging Week on October 2nd from 2 to 4 with a comedy club at the City Center in Champaign. You'll enjoy live comedy from Zoo Improv and CU comedy comedians Jesse Tuttle and Dave Yates. Admission is free for people who are 55 and better. Be sure to join the fun with Health Alliance and Clark Lindsay. Reserve your seat today by calling 239-5201. That's 239-5201.
Coach Mike Ditka is not just talking sports. What will he say next? Hear him here Monday and Friday mornings from 7:30 to 8 with Brother Johnny and me, Stevie J, on ESPN Radio 93.5.
It is the Tay and J Show. Mike Carpenter wrapping up the show as Jeremy Warner goes to Illinois football practice. He'll have plenty of coverage for you guys tomorrow. And a lot of interesting tidbits yesterday from Illinois' press conference with Lovie Smith. We talked about the activist quote that he had, basically saying he would like his guys to be socially aware and get active if they feel compelled to do so. And then some recruiting tidbits as well, but plenty of that tomorrow when Lon and Jeremy are here for a full show. It will be a normal Tay and J Show, followed by a Thursday show at Bunny's Tavern from 3 to 5:15, and then next Tuesday we'll be at Jupiter's of the Crossing for a full show, at least as long as the Cardinals aren't in some weird two-way tie and they have a game to play Tuesday afternoon, but we'll kind of wait and see. They are, after all, playing the Reds at home, which has not went well for them for whatever reason. So it's time, though, and we did this last week, a similar situation when Jeremy had to dip out, and Tay is gone. So instead of Taste Take, brought to you by DP Dough, it is time for Mike's Mike, brought to you by DP Dough. As we get the dramatic music on, and Austin Berkland will be our moderator.
All right. At TCR, Brad asks, he asked me this on his podcast, but between these two, Illinois football and Illinois basketball, which sport would you like to see win a championship first, like a national title first?
College basketball. It's not even close. And I think part of it is you grow up, at least I did, and many Illinois fans, without Illinois football having any consistency. So you naturally will gravitate towards the team that provides you with a lot more good memories and a lot more victories, and it's always been Illinois basketball. So an Illinois basketball championship for me is number one with a bullet on things that I want to see as a sports fan.
All right.
And it feels attainable. I don't think Illinois football, you could have a really good year. You got to get to a really special level to even compete for a football championship.
All right. Next question is from at IlliniMan14 asks, would you prefer the Bears played competitively all season and finish 6-10, or continue to get the number one overall pick?
I'd prefer them to be competitive and go 3-13, but going off that question, no, just lose out, please, because and usually, and I said this last year too, you knew that they were going to come around and be good enough where you weren't going to get a top pick. So if that's the case, then yes, be competitive, get to 7-8 wins. They only got to 6 last year. But at the end of it, they were playing better than their record indicated. This year, no such thing. And I don't see any hope in sight. The injuries make it worse. But man, they've been terrible. Really, really terrible this year. And I think it's going to continue.
All right, next question. Andrew asks, what was worse, Trump's sniffling or Clinton's smile?
Well, first off, Austin, that was a microphone issue. It was not. He was not sniffing.
Wait, he wasn't?
He was not. It was a microphone issue. He was not sniffing. His nose was moving, but it just happened to coincide each and every time with the microphone issue.
That's a shame.
I know.
He was such a great debate.
People didn't like Hillary's smile. I think it weirded some people out last night. I don't know. I think she kind of had a grandmotherly, wag of the finger, oh, Donald kind of smile about her. It didn't bother me that much. And really the sniffing didn't, and I was afraid people would take and run with it if I had to choose the sniffing. But to be honest, neither really bothered me that much.
Yeah, I'm glad Twitter stayed mostly on the issues instead of the sniffling, of course.
But I tried hashtag Sniffgate, but no one went with it. So there you go.
You could have started a trend. All right, next one is from a 608 texter. Would an NFL team be better off with Wes Lunt as their quarterback right now? Was thinking about this before the season in reference to Trevor Siemian, but Siemian has been impressive thus far. Assume Lunt has an off season to get accustomed to the offense.
I don't know. That's why I think it's an incomplete grade for Wes Lunt. He's got 2 wins against Power 5 teams, but he's also had injuries and not so good teams around him. But whatever the it factor is, he doesn't have it. I never would have thought that Trevor Siemian had it, but somehow, some way, you get in a really good system, as this question is suggesting. He's got the tools. I think in the right system and behind a line like Peyton had at Indianapolis, he could have some success. But I just don't think overall this is going to be someone with a long NFL career or a substantial one.
All right, next question comes from a 217 texter. I have Cam Newton and Tom Brady in fantasy football. Who should I trade and who should I get for the trade?
Well, keep Tom Brady. I mean, he's coming back next week, I believe, week 5.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so keep him and trade Cam Newton because there will be someone desperate enough to get a quarterback that can get you some rushing touchdowns. Because at least in my league, it's 4 for every pass, 6 for every rushing touchdown. That has a lot of value in many leagues. So trade Cam Newton because you're about to get back a guy that I'm guessing will be a top 8 fantasy quarterback. But I'm no fantasy expert, and I don't even have 2 starting running backs to go this week. So that kind of gives you an indication how good I am.
Okay, Dave Tech tweeted out and said, who would be your pick for a great Super Bowl halftime show?
AC/DC, but that's out the window. That window was closed, unfortunately. Ooh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Who would be a good... I mean, I'm going to go the rock and roll direction. Guns N' Roses. They're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses. There we go.
How about a joint Guns N' Roses AC/DC?
Well, here's what happens. Then Angus Young, who's the only active AC/DC member, he joins them on stage to end it with For Those About to Rock or something like that. There we go. Guns N' Roses with guest Angus Young.
That would work.
That's your halftime show.
All right, next one is from Paul.
Okay.
Hashtag toilet paper over the roll or under the roll?
Ooh. Under. Because it can naturally kind of snap off.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. Because if it's over, sometimes it just rolls and rolls and rolls, and you got to get your elbow on it. Or, if one hand's occupied with a book or something, you got to put the book down. It's a whole ordeal. So I'm going under.
All right.
Yeah.
Dave asks another question. Final one.
Oh.
Trump or Clinton? Of course, you only have one vote because we are not Chicago.
Oh, man. Come on. I think I've basically alluded to things, or anyone that follows me on Twitter knows. It's not that I'm a flag-waving, bumper sticker carrying.
Hashtag I'm with her.
Yeah, I'm not. But sometimes by default, you are. And this year, by default, I am. And so, yes, I will definitely be voting for Hillary Clinton.
Do you endorse her, though?
By default.
Okay.
Yep, I do.
Well, that's the end of Mike's Mike.
Austin, a regular Lester Holt right there. We got to wrap it up here. We had Kevin Fishbane, Mark Tupper, Austin Berkland, James Warder. Thank you guys. Jeremy Warner for Mike Carpenter, or Mike Carpenter for Jeremy Warner. It is the Tay and J Show.
If you dream about owning a garden, a grill, or a garage, you're ready to own a home. Busey promises to provide the answers and support you need to find the best financing package for you. With free pre-qualifications, you can shop for your home knowing all of your options. Visit Busey.com or stop by one of our many convenient locations for solutions to your banking and wealth management needs. Busey, your dream, our promise. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Tuesdays can't get any respect. Every week it's, I can't believe it's only Tuesday. No one ever asks, how was your Tuesday? But now there is something exciting about Tuesday. The Tune-Up Tuesday sale at Chief Bauer Service Experts. Get an extra $10 off their lowest sale price on a precision tune-up. That means you'll get a $120 tune-up for only $69 when you book online today at chiefbauer.com. The Tune-Up Tuesday sale at Chief Bauer Service Experts. Take that, Saturday.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Mortgage rates have dropped again. In fact, recently, mortgage rates have dropped to the second lowest level in history. Now is the time for you to take advantage of these historically low rates and save serious money every month by refinancing your mortgage. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is all the way down to 3.5%. APR 3.57%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how far we can lower your mortgage payment. For 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year, they also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. It's a great time to refinance with Quicken Loans and save hundreds every month. This ultra-low rate of 3.5% won't last long. So call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Mortgage rates have dropped again. In fact, recently, mortgage rates have dropped to the second lowest level in history. Now is the time for you to take advantage of these historically low rates and save serious money every month by refinancing your mortgage. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is all the way down to 3.5%. APR 3.57%. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN to see how far we can lower your mortgage payment. For 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year, they also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. It's a great time to refinance with Quicken Loans and save hundreds every month. This ultra-low rate of 3.5% won't last long. So call 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Live from the Habib BPC studios, this is WSJK Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.